Madness Podcast! The best of the underground! Make madness your ritual!
Holy shit, what's going on, folks? How you doing? You're listening to Ritual Madness Podcast. I can't hear it on one of my fucking ears. That's just weird. I probably got a bunch of cheese in there. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you watching and tuning in and all that stuff. Do me a favor, check out the Shred Den. Let me see here, 9100 85th Avenue. Avenue North, Suite 100, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, 763-350-2191. Look them up on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the TikTok, and let me see here, or www.theshredden.net. If you're looking for some fancy guitars and all that fancy stuff, give them a shout. Check them out. Also, if you're looking for some logo work, we've got Narwhal Design Solution, Justin Boney, Narwhal Design Solutions, Justin Boney at gmail.com. Again, look him up on Facebook, Instagram, and the World Wide Web. If you're looking for some logo work, dude's a fantastic artist. He's done all kinds of stuff for Surly and all the kind of bands in town here. Let me see here. What do we got? We've got, if you are able to donate to the podcast, please scan the QR code on your screen and select an amount if you like, and that would help us out a ton to keep this podcast going. I would appreciate you a million times over, as I do for all of your support. Thank you very much a million times over again. Tonight's guest is a band that I stumbled on actually in the scene here. Like I said, man, I like to find bands that aren't on my radar. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start seeing people's name around town. You start seeing things and videos and things that they've dropped recently, that type of stuff. Which is the last video that we just watched, the opening. What is that? Convulsions is what it's called.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ghostmade Cellophane. How you guys doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Let me get you guys on the thing here. What am I doing here? God damn it. There we go. I got everybody on screen now. I appreciate you guys coming in. Why don't you go around the table, tell me who you are and what you do in the band?
Yeah, my name is John, a.k.a. The Butcher. I write most of the music. I sing and do a lot of the editing and the video stuff.
I am The Nameless. I play bass, a little bit of backing vocals. That's pretty much. I mean, I don't know, maybe some kazoo every now and then.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. Kazoo is always good. You know what I'm saying?
It's metal as F. Can I swear on this thing?
That's it's something. It's something. Kazoo will get you where you got to go, right? Mm-hmm. So how did you guys become how long have you guys been a band? Like, how was that all worked for you guys?
So I mean, I started the band originally in Los Angeles probably about 5-6 years ago. Like 6 years ago. It had a different name called Plastic Me at the time. It was kind of a name spawned off of living in Los Angeles, a lot of like fake plastic people,
sure,
kind of a mockery of it.
Right.
I brought it back to Minnesota 2019 to 2020, and people kind of like, what the F is this? Like,
right.
Because
we're not swear all you want.
Okay, what the fuck is this, right? We're not, because when people in Minnesota, they're not really plastic people. We're hardworking people, you know. So,
yeah.
And then COVID happened, and then I did a different band for about 3 years, and then roughly about 2 years ago, I was kind of doing both, and then I think officially, like I was saying before, we started this. The would be like September of last year was when the new chapter started, and then January when the Nameless joined the band. So long story short, I would say officially it's been Ghostmade Cellophane for 2 years, but I've been doing this project for about like 6. So
it's been a minute.
It has. I didn't start singing until like 7-8 years ago. I was a very shy kid.
Sure.
With like a speech impediment,
sure,
and bullied a lot. So it was really difficult for me to do that. It was always like I did like live sound and recording before. I worked at a record label for a year in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And, it was one of those like, well, if I don't do this now, I'm gonna always regret it. So
right.
It finally feels like Ghostmade Cellophane with the Nameless in the band. But yeah.
I like the aesthetic of the band. You know what I mean? It's got an eerie feel to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Is that what you're shooting for from the hip from the beginning, or what?
Well, from the beginning, I'll just say this. So I was a huge, and I still am a huge Under Oath fan.
Okay.
And when I wrote the first EP, which I actually recorded in New Orleans,
okay,
with Concrete Studios,
nice.
Jonathan Dulce. I think he's in Nashville now, located there. But I wanted to really write that kind of stuff, and I loved the aggression and kind of like the talks of like struggle with addiction and stuff.
Yeah.
In their music. So,
Sure.
and
Shit connected.
yeah, 100%. And so I really wanted to kind of follow that. And then when the Nameless joined the band, it was kind of this. He's like, "Can I do this on stage?" And I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "Can I wear this? Can I do this?" I was like, "Of course!" Like, you know. And it was kind of cool. It was cool to meet someone where it wasn't this kind of like his shell was completely off. There was no kind of ego in it. Like he just wanted to do what felt authentic to him, which kind of allowed me to be more authentic to who I am.
Right.
So then that's kind of
Even
where like
better.
the darkness and the kind of I don't say scary, but like ominous aspect of it kind of
Sure.
came into, even though
Yeah.
the you know the music isn't the heaviest.
Yeah.
So
No, it's heavy enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
wicked.
Yeah.
It's heavy enough, man. I mean,
yeah.
I always people get caught up in that whole thought of what is heavy and what's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they really do get caught up on it. Like, you know, the comparison of who's the heaviest guy on the block isn't always the best either. You know what I'm saying?
100%, yeah.
You can be the heaviest motherfucker, but you're not the most technical. You're not always the most talented either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's kind of the balance is the best part about it.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is like because metal is so prominent in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was definitely like I love pop music, so
Sure.
I kind of try to have a balance of like pop and metal and to kind of fit into the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
Like with Convulsions, it's a fairly like heavier song. There's not really any ambient parts to it like
Sure.
you hear in the other songs. So
Yeah. I think that's what attracted me to your guys' sound and why I wanted to get in touch with you guys, because it was different. It's not the cookie cutter death metal band. It's not the black metal band. It's not, you know what I mean? It has a taste of industrial to it. It still has a heavy edge to it. You know what I mean? It's ambient. That sound is eerie. It's eerie. It's like you'd go into like you would see a horror film.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that emotion that builds to that.
Yeah.
To the punch you in the face or they get hit with a hammer. You know what I mean? That type of shit. That's what drew me to it. And you got I like bands that look like they're having fun doing what they're doing. And it's not that plastic, hey, I'm looking for the the look.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? It's so cheesy to say that, but it's true. People do that a lot, you know?
yeah.
So I have some pretty standard questions that I usually like to ask, but it always like opens the story up for me when I ask these questions. What was going on in your house as a kid? What was musically, what was in the air? Like what were your brothers and sisters listening to? What were mom and dad listening to? Aunts and uncles, any kind of influence. What was in the air as a kid?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I grew up as an only child.
Okay.
And so really my music taste really mostly stemmed from my grandparents and my parents, mainly my mom. My grandparents, the earliest like memories that I have are listening to Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Nice.
Which has always been one of my favorite albums
Sure.
of all time,
Right.
and one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like being like 3 years old, listening to fucking Young Lust in the car on the way to
Right.
somewhere, probably go eat somewhere, and a bit of Led Zeppelin, a bit of Beatles, Bob Seger, a good amount of Bob Seger.
Silver Bullet Band, baby. What's
Hell
up?
yeah. And then my mom, she brought in, a lot of like Metallica, Pantera, 3 Days Grace, Linkin Park, a lot of that shit. And then it wasn't until I was around 10 years old, roughly, when she put me onto this band called Slipknot, believe it or not. And so, yeah, I vividly remember the first song that she had showed me was their second track off of their second album, Iowa, People Equal Shit. And, from there on, it's just like,
You could
damn.
relate.
Yeah, no, definitely.
one of those relatable topics, man, when it comes to that shit, because it really does.
Yeah.
It speaks to a guy, especially when you've been picked on, or what I mean.
Oh, definitely.
I know, when I was younger, man, it was like there were cliques of people, man. It was like the metalheads and the skids, they called them, or it was the preppies, the jocks and the cats. And then it was like the punk rock kids and the metal kids and the punk rock kids kind of got along because they were on the fringe of the whole thing where, all the jocks and dummies, they'd pick on everybody. And
Yeah,
It was
no,
tough to see. I hated that shit.
I remember vividly throughout like elementary school, middle school, all that shit. I was tormented. It is damn near hell on earth.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then back in like I don't know 2018, we moved to a different town, Sandwich, Illinois, name of it. Nice little small town, about 4 or 5 hours west of Chicago.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it was there where I started really like. I mean, a year or two before, I was starting to like listening to like some like like other bands venturing out, Black Sabbath, System of a Down, shit like that. But it wasn't until then where I had started delving more into like I don't know, I guess kind of like bands that I like I either never heard of or were like, oh, they made that song. Like I delved into some more like kind of like 90s punk, like Offspring, and then the grunge stuff like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, all that shit. And then other more like kind of like, I don't know, I guess some would say more obscure stuff like Carnivore, Typo Negative, and yeah. And
Carnivore's not one you hear a lot.
oh
A
yeah,
lot of people trip on that band.
I had actually gotten their album Retaliation.
Oh yeah.
My uncle, my grandma's brother, had passed away. Gosh, it was a while ago from cancer. And my grandparents inherited like his whole like there's like a whole tote of like records, and inside there was like a whole bunch of like really good good stuff like Zeppelin 4, Paul McCartney and the Wings, shit like that. The Wall, obviously.
Yeah.
But then there's some other shit like Agnostic Front and Carnivore where I was like, oh, what are these guys? And I turned around, I was like, holy shit, it's like, damn, never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
It's
so funny. I just watched a documentary on Peter Steele just recently, and like every member of that band of Typo Negative was Jewish, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're singing, fucking, we fall from different cunts. Your skin's an ugly color, that type of shit. You know what I mean? It's like
Not literally.
they're just being, they're just being on the edge back then. You know what I mean? None of them dudes. Like I met Peter. I worked for Peter Steele twice when they came here doing security, and he was one of the nicest fucking guys you ever met. You know what I'm
definitely.
saying? The sweetest of sweetheart dudes.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny when you hear those, the stories of them and people.
Like, he hates homeless people.
Yeah.
He hates
He
like
hates everybody.
women. Yeah.
Yep, everybody. Was it Jesus, Hitler, Adolf Christ? Is what he was. He
Is
said,
this the second coming or the fourth Reich?
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous, But that was you could say that type of shit. Slayer had all that, German Nazi fucking symbolism all over their shit.
Yeah, and really the main whole thing was like that. I feel is like mainly just shock value and just to piss everyone off. I mean, like they never really. I feel like they don't really mean anything about that. Yeah, and especially with like Slayer, because like you look at Tom Araya and he's a fucking
Hispanic.
Catholic.
Yeah, and he's Hispanic as well.
Yeah, no, and like they got like all of this like satanic imagery, raining blood, blah blah blah. And it's like no, dude, it's just fucking with you.
Yeah. I watching the Lemmy documentary, and you see him talking about it, and he's like, if the Chinese had awesome outfits like the Nazis did, I'd be wearing Chinese outfits now. You know what I mean? He's just telling them the fucking truth, man. Like, I like the outfit, man. What do you want me to do? I mean, I get it. I really do. It's tough to deal with that shit nowadays. How about you, sir? What were you listening to as a kid? What was in the air?
It was a really interesting mixture of stuff. So my siblings' dad is Laotian and Thai. Okay. So there was a lot of like Laotian Thai karaoke going on in the house till like 4 a.m. Yeah. Which is So there's there's that, and then like my sisters love pop music, like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and fucking New Kids on the Block and whatever. So like they were listening to that, and that kind of rubbed off on me a little bit as a kid. But I remember a very distinct point in time. My mom used to drive bus in Minneapolis, and I was too young to go to school at the time. I think I was like 4.5.
Sure.
And there's two bands that came on. It was one was Aerosmith.
Okay.
And the other one was Queen, and I was just kind of hooked. I was like, "What is this?"
What Queen?
We Will Rock You.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but for me personally, like what I listen to, I've had stages in my life. So as a child, I loved Michael Jackson. Like there's like videos of me like dancing very poorly to like Michael Jackson, and just
Dude, same.
yeah.
Same.
And then like when I got a little bit older, probably the first band that ever like really stuck with me was Linkin Park.
Okay.
And like Hybrid Theory to this day is probably one of my favorite albums.
I would never guess with
No?
the music.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I try to pull production from them, because when they first did it, they were like one of the first bands to like, they had like their own website and they were doing all their media stuff. And even as a kid, I was like, oh, like, it's very encompassing. So, and there was a lot of pain. I feel like there was a lot of like angsty pain in the first album. Like Shut Up When I'm Talking to You.
Oh yeah.
And Crawling is still probably one of my favorite songs, like hands down. So, and then oddly enough, like my brother loved like the Disney Channel and choir music. So I mean, I'm one of 5 kids, and so everybody had their taste.
So you got some High School Musical, you got some pop music, you got Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
which is always. It sounds like you guys both have a wide range of musical things that have molded you to who you guys are too. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, I feel like that's what music's supposed to do, man. You're supposed to be able to grab from everything that you love.
Yeah,
Definitely.
The funny thing is, like, when we meet people, he's the one who gets to talk all like the metal and like the heavy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like blank face, like I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm very niche in like what I like.
Yeah.
Even to this day, like I was listening to a band called Paris.
Okay.
Which is like a pop band, basically. Like when I was, electronic pop band, kind of like Fantagram, or I forgot the other band's name, but I like that kind of stuff. I'm really into that. So I didn't really get into the heavy music until later in life.
Yeah.
I remember the first heavy song I saw was like "The Bullet for the Butterfly Wings" by Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
And that music video like fucking terrified me.
Really?
Yeah, as a kid, I was like, "What is this?" Like, so, yeah, I don't know. I was definitely not the cool kid.
Well,
so.
I think that's all kind of perspective. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, we're all kind of cool in our own way. I always say that to, like, oh, that dude's strange, and I'm like, we're all fucking strange. What do you mean? You can't tell me that we're not all strange. You know, a little bit. How about instrument wise? When you were coming up, were you exposed to instruments? Were you what made you gravitate to playing music?
Well, it's odd. I didn't start doing music till later in life, right? But I've always had a connection with vocals. Like when I would hear a really good vocalist, like I like Ariana Grande. I hear her shit, and I'm just like holy fuck, man! Like I can feel there's just like this sensation in me. But I didn't start till later. My brother was a really good vocalist in choir. He got like awards and stuff for state, and a really good baritone voice, really good tenor voice, and I think my sister played like saxophone briefly, and then my great grandma played piano. But for the most part, it was just like odd path that I would win. Like nobody. That's not what you do. You get a job, you go to college,
Right.
You know what I mean? So I really didn't pick up guitar till I was like 21.
Damn.
So which is really weird for a lot of people because they're like, oh, my dad had a guitar and I got to play when I was a kid, and I was like, I remember like saving up and buying a guitar from Best Buy when they used to sell instruments. Yeah. And then, like I said, I didn't start singing until like 6-7 years ago. So
what made you wait so long? You said you were a little bit shy.
Yeah, well, when you grow up in a household, and I'm not gonna get too like personal about it, but when you grow up in a household that's really abusive, it's hard to like be vocal. It's hard to like you're afraid to even just talk loud. You know, let alone sing. You know, so I never really, as a kid, I was always the quiet one. When I'm around family, I'm even quieter. Just because
This is the way you were raised.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the other thing too is when other people are put up on a pedestal and you're just kind of there.
You feel way down there.
Oh, for sure.
It's not. You're not even close. I totally get it.
So yeah, but
you're trying to live up to their standard. Or so they put them up on the pedestal, and you're always compared to the one that's on the pedestal.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. They never thought I would finish like high school or go to college. And I'm the only one who actually ended up doing all of that. So I mean, they all finished high school, but I was the only one who went to like a 4-year college and then like moved throughout the United States and like traveled the world and stuff like that. So, it's really interesting that like, that I feel like what you do when you're a kid and what you experience affects you so much as an adult. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I started so late. It was one of those, I even went to college for something that wasn't music related. Right. And I'd walk by every day, the music department, and I'd hear them playing, and I'd be like, "Oh, those fuckers!" Yeah, like that's what I should be doing, you know. And then
it was calling to you.
He was calling to me, and then eventually I was like, "Let's do it." And I was not a good singer when I first started. I couldn't hit a note to save my life. So it's I'm happy that I'm doing it now.
We were talking off the air, and it always happens. Good things come out when you're talking off the air, and sometimes it's things that people don't want to talk about on the air, but something did happen right when we were talking, and we're talking about about being quiet and shy. You know what I mean, and breaking the mold from that, and it's really difficult, and we were talking about learning from the podcast. I've always tried to like teach people things, and younger bands or younger people that may stumble on this podcast, okay, and want to check out the stuff and get this message from it, okay. And this is what I grab from it, is that it's never too late. If this music's calling you, no matter what it is, if you feel it, it's calling you. It's telling you that you need to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've heard musicians my entire life, from the smallest to the biggest, say the same thing. And you watch those old Beatles videos where they're all sitting in the room and they're all jamming on something, and one guy's working on something. I watched a YouTube video just the other day, and it said, this is the moment when they figured out where they wanted it to go. And I can't even remember the song, but it was something where McCartney's just jamming on one thing, and he's jamming on one thing, and Harrison is across the room from him, and he hits one thing, and he goes, wait, and he comes over, and they figure out that one part, and then they play it together, and you hear Paul McCartney's thought process on it move to the next process. Yeah. Like, okay, we're playing this riff, and you can see the creative. It's like it just goes right into him, right out of him. Yeah. And it plays. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is the learning thing it always amazes me that people will tell something about their story and it's the truth. People need to listen to their intuitions, listen to themselves when it comes to 21 years old and you pick up a guitar and you're doing cool shit and you're continuing to create cool shit all on the drive that I feel like today, man, we were here to say, we were picked on as kids. We were fucked with as kids. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And as shitty as that was, and as horrible as all those things did, and how we felt at times alone by ourselves, man, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I look back at that and say I would never change a fucking time of it. Yeah. Because you know what? It made me tougher. Yeah. Made me stronger. It made me want to make everybody who said I wasn't going to do it. Yep. Fuck you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My hair is standing up, dude. Yeah. No lie, because it's the truth. That's the way it is, man. Yeah. Yeah. I've been kicked a million times, dude. I feel the same way. Yeah. Other people put on pedestals. I was an only kid too, man. But I had stepbrothers and people around me and family around me, and they always did cool shit. They were hockey players and tennis players and all this fucking shit, and I was into totally different shit. Yeah, I was into the morbid. I liked things like that. I loved horror movies. Yeah. I loved all that creepy shit, and all those, older people for me, they were just like, oh, you shouldn't be doing, you gotta, I remember getting tattooed and being so afraid to tell anybody or show anybody, you get your ear pierced and you're going like this in front of your grandparents and shit, Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. I always try to pick up on that vibe when someone says something cool like that, because it is the truth, man. if it's calling you, you gotta answer it, or it's always gonna eat you forever, man. And again, you could pick up a bass or a guitar at 50 and learn your favorite song and sing that one song multiple times.
Yeah.
But when you show it to the next person and all of that, that you put into it when you play it, and they see it, it's gonna fuel them too, man.
Yeah, there was actually earlier today I was watching a little bit of YouTube, and there's an older guy. He must have been like late 60s. He was doing a cover of "I Miss You" by Blink-182, and
glasses, beard, mustache.
No, he like old grandpa looking, like bald head, and he just he looked like someone that would have listened to he sounded like Johnny Cash. His voice was really low, and he just But it was such an interesting rendition of the song, and really beautiful that that this older gentleman was singing some Blink-182, and I could feel the pain in his voice. Was he the best singer? No. Was he, the best guitar player? No. But you could feel that. It almost had this kind of sadness to it too, because I saw him and I was like, man, that guy's probably lived multiple lives, and he's probably lost so many people now, especially at his age. Like, that's really cool to see that, which also another musical influence was Johnny Cash growing up. My grandparents loved Johnny Cash. My great aunt would babysit us, right?
Yeah.
And she'd be drinking whiskey at night, and she'd be talking about the end of the world, listening to Johnny Cash. So that was like a really early experience, So my brother and I are really into Mr. Cash.
One of those holy shit moments, like, what's going on with Auntie over there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
How about you, sir? How was your introduction to an instrument and things?
Saxophone.
I played saxophone too. I did too, man.
Yeah, no. So 4th grade, I was like 9 years old. Actually, no. Maybe 3rd grade, elementary school. I was like 7, 8, somewhere around there. I remember in that really tiny town that I used to live in. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to be associated with that town, because the only two people who are actually decent in that town are my grandparents, grandma, grandpa. I love you. Everyone in that town can burn in hell.
That's how I feel too, dude.
But I remember the marching band, came around, and I was just like, wow, I want to do that. And it was mainly just like I could just feeling all of the noise and the bass drums and all of that shit, just feeling it in your chest. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
And so 4th grade came around, I started playing saxophone, and I was like, I can't do this shit. Fuck this. I don't want to do it. And then my mom was like, and then I remember this was around the time where I first got the wonderful thing that is unrestricted internet access.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And no, this was before anything super bad happened, thank God. But I remember I was just watching some Coldplay music videos, and I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if Pink Floyd has any music videos. And so I rediscovered Pink Floyd in a sense, watching a bunch of live videos, and I was like,
holy shit.
And then I remember just as a little kid, one of my favorite members was fucking Roger Waters, because I don't fucking know why. I mean, I guess you could say he wrote all of those albums in that era, from Dark Side of the Moon to The Final Cut.
Right.
But I don't know why he was my favorite member. But I saw he was playing a guitar, but it only had 4 strings, and I was like, I want to play that. And then I remember playing my dad, he had one of those is a PSP Go. It wasn't it was the digital version of the PSP, not the PS Vita. It was before that, where the screen would flip up, but it didn't take the UMD discs the big ones.
Yeah.
And he had Rock Band Unplugged on that, and how it went is you would basically play all 4 instruments like at the same time and like switch between them. And I remember every time I'd get to the bass, it was like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
And so like, I want to say like maybe like when I was 10, I was like, mommy, I want to play a bass guitar. I want to play bass.
Right.
And she's like, if you keep playing saxophone, then I'll get one for you for your 13th birthday. I was like, okay. And then my 13th birthday came around, and she's like, well, shit. Now what do I do? Because I was
Now she's
still
stuck,
playing
you know?
it. Yeah, and so I got my first bass. It was a P bass copy from Carlo Robelli. It was with a tiny little crate amplifier, and I remember the first like thing that I learned on that was "Come Together" by the Beatles.
Yeah.
Because that was like during the time where I was like, where I what really into the Beatles, and mainly a lot of like kind of like their later stuff, like what is it? I'm blanking on the name of the album. Is the one with Paperback Writer on it? Oh, Revolver. Okay. Revolver and Onward. Yeah. And yeah, so I just, I was playing bass, from there on. And then when I was 15, I was like, well, before then I was like, I want to try to play guitar. And then for my 15th birthday, my grandparents got me it was like one of those like short scale Gibson Les Pauls. There's a Gibson Maestro, cheap thing from a pawn shop,
Right.
probably. And yeah, I played it. I learned how to play guitar, and it was like it opened up.
So you started with
more.
bass, and then you went to guitar.
Well, technically, I started with saxophone.
Oh, gotcha,
but yeah, no, I started with bass, and then, yeah, a few years later, and then actually no, in high school, I basically, like played saxophone. I switched from an alto to a tenor during high school, played that in like, the concert band, and then everything else, bass. Jazz band, marching band, pep band, the pit orchestra for
Right.
the musical and a half that we were able to do, because my freshman year, the spring musical that we were going to do got canceled because of the pandemic, and then it wasn't until 2023 for our spring musical where we finally were able to get one, like to have a live pit orchestra, and so I did that.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, and I still have that same alto saxophone that my mom got me my mom and dad had gotten me when I was like 8 years old. It's fucking sitting in the trunk of my car.
No shit.
Yeah,
That's crazy, dude. To still have it.
Yeah, nah. And I've played a couple times down at Whitey's. They have like Tuesday, like Wednesdays. They have like open,
Like an acoustic jam or
it's
something?
like open blues. And
Oh, nice.
I played bass there for a bit, but then also I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring in my saxophone and see what I do. And fucking ripping out a saxophone solo during Jimi Hendrix fucking Voodoo Chows.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool, man. Really.
Yeah. And so that's and then during high school and college, I took a couple like keyboard lessons for like the year of college that I did. But that's kind of like my musical instrument background. I'm the first musician in my family. I know no one that I'm related to that was a musician.
That's how
Especially
it
not
starts, though, man. You can
Yeah.
pass it forward to everyone beyond.
Yep, I am the genesis. I am the beginning
There you
of
go.
hopefully a decent lineage of
Sure.
musicians. So
It's cool that you were drawn to it, man. You know what I mean? As a young person, it's like I feel like either it's kind of one of them side things, you know what I mean? Like you play a sport or you do all this other, academic shit and it's kind of a side thing, or you're full on music and everything else is kind of side.
in,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
All in.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Now, how did you guys come up with the name? How did you come up with the name Ghostmade Cellophane?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I started in LA, it was Plastic Me. It just kind of like, making fun of all the plastic fake people there. And then I wanted to kind of change it when I brought it back, like, and you know, I didn't feel like it fit in the scene at all.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody had like dope ass names, like, and it didn't really fit with like the metal scene, which, you know, whatever. But so I kind of I came up with a bunch of different ideas, and then I kind of wanted to pay homage to the original name. So cellophane is plastic, right?
Right.
And then Ghostmade is like, you know, made from your ghosts. So basically made from the plastic version of my past, you know.
Right. Very cool.
So I feel like it rolls off the tongue, you know, Ghostmade Cellophane, but it also is one of those things where, like, for some reason people can't spell it, and I'm just like fuck, man, like, so, or some people are, you know, they're just like, oh, he's got plastic in the name of his band or whatever. I'm just like,
Right.
you know, but I didn't think that cellophane was a hard word to spell, but apparently it is for some people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think it'd probably be better if we renamed it to some like butthole surfers. Oh no, it's already taken. Butthole fuckers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ghost make cell phone.
We got called a cell phone on it was a Ghostmade Cellophane for a show that a promoter put us on.
Really?
And we're like, what the fuck? You know, yeah. So
for that, I will not play.
well, yeah.
Wrong band. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, funny thing actually is like a case of like, oh hey, do you guys want to do a show? Yeah, sure, we'll do a show. And then fucking April, May, June, 4 months later, oh hey, here's a flyer that I put out for a show that's happening tomorrow. I'm like, what the fuck? And he wasn't even added to the fucking group chat, and he's like the guy that's been in the band the longest. He's like the founding member. I'm just some guy that got in contact with the dude, and he's like, neither of us can do this, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you know, promoters and playing shows and playing with other bands, you know, we're musicians first most of the time. You know, we're not fucking, you know, the businessmen of the group or whatever, you know. So I've been fucked over by promoters before, but like lack of organization is something that I usually don't go too hard in the paint for what other people have got going on, just because I understand life is messy, and also like we're musicians first, so a lot of people are usually getting drunk or having a good time, and but no, you know, it's weird, you know, to kind of talk about this year, like I think we've done like 18 or 19 shows in like 3 months, you know, and we're kind of talking about like overplaying an area. We've kind of, you know, we've done some Fargo shows and Grand Forks and St. Cloud shows, but like a big thing for me this year was like just us grinding our teeth a little bit. Yeah. Because this is like really the Nameless's first like metal band that he's been in. Right. You know. Right. And when you're in a band, it's all about the relationships that you have. You don't know how they're gonna interact. I've played with people who are like, I fucking kill it on stage, man, and then they go up there and they're just unable to like move from their spot, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's been kind of an interesting, like this summer has been really, like I said, it's been like the new chapter of the band. It feels like a completely new band. I almost at a point wanted to rename the band. I was like, but we had bought fucking merch, and you know, we have all this stuff with Ghostmade Cellophane on it. So
I really like the name. I think it's cool. It's different than everything in town. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's cool. I dig it.
Thanks.
It has an image to it. Like it has, like I see shit in my head when I think about it. And it's virtually what you guys have. When you sent me the artwork, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's almost this kind of like, I think of like this afterlife, ominous, beings like drifting through a field almost. You know what I mean? Like, because like
wraith.
Yeah. And so that's the imagery becomes very prevalent with that, and that was never intentional when I did it. It was just trying to honor like the band name before, and then it just kind of all made sense, you know. So
it's like drifting onwards to the afterlife.
Yeah.
Also, 15. That's how many shows we've done so far.
15. Yeah. 15. Okay. So 15 in 3 months.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and
But you know what? Here's the thing, and we were talking about this off air again. It's just some things that pop into my head, and I get rolling. It's kind of my warm up. I just talk my ass off before I get going to talk my ass off even more.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things that I kind of harp on people for.
Yeah.
Here's the caveat to that, though. If you're coming out, if you're trying to make the hunger for what you're doing, I think it's important to play a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You come out like gangbusters, you get your name out there, and then you keep feeding it to them, and then you keep spreading your wings, and you keep moving forward. So what I said off air is not necessarily...
It's not a negative thing.
No, not at all.
It's a great way to do it. I think I'm a huge fan of, like, when you go see a band and their set is so refined.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love that. Like, especially, like, for bigger artists.
Yeah.
They've got production. They've got, all the other stuff. And it's not like we're changing the set this week to the next week, or we come out and we're kind of like, what's the next song? You can kind of get in the groove of it a little bit.
Right.
And then we do that live. Like, we start with a song called The Story Of, and it's basically like a Nine Inch Nails instrumental kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
We get to walk it on stage, and, the Nameless puts his mask on, and, I put the Butcher mask on, and then we can kind of out and just like introduce ourselves, and then the next one is like a melody, and it's the song From Under the Water I Live, which came out like 2 years ago. I'm gonna redo it, but it's almost like a vocal warm up, because then I go into just like and so that's kind of nice to be able to figure out what. The big thing is, like, we don't play with in-ears, so it's like being able to hear stuff on on the monitors and gauge the stage almost, but also just be like, come closer.
Ramping yourself up to get to where you need to be. Yeah. And giving yourself, like, especially if you're doing an instrumental to begin with, you're getting all of the sounds to make sure you hear everything good.
Yeah.
Just for people that don't know how it is on stage with, being a musician, you usually have monitors that are playing the stuff that you're doing. Yep. It's not just your amps on stage. Usually they'll take the front of house and they'll shoot it back at you, so you're able to hear through all of the stuff that's blasted at you the other way, really,
Yeah.
And it's so, like, it's like used as like kind of like, am I gonna have to focus on this dude for my time? Or are they going to have to focus on me for the time?
Yeah.
So,
right.
What's been really cool, though, is I've heard other bands say, like, you ever go to a show and, like, maybe 3-4 songs, and then people kind of walk away. They're just like, I get it. Maybe every song sounds similar, or maybe this just isn't my vibe. The word I get told a lot by people, and this is not like an ego boost at all, but I get, like, it's very captivating, or I feel like I'm on a ride. Because
they don't want to get off.
They didn't want to get off, and so the set is like maybe 33 minutes, so it's not a really long set, but it's just enough where people don't check out, because we saw the Deftones a week ago,
29th,
yeah, and don't get me wrong, Deftones are great, and I have a funny story about that if I could tell you about it.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if you felt this way, but towards the end of the concert, it felt like it was all just this wall of sound, so much to the point that, like, it kind of didn't want to, but it kind of started checking out. Mm-hmm. Like, it started losing my attention, which is really sad, because it's the fucking Deftones, Right. So that, and it wasn't just me that said that, but there were other people that kind of felt that way too. So I think it's really important when you go to a show to kind of think of, like, like, how do we give just enough to keep them coming back for more. Right. You know what I mean?
I do.
And then I also like the idea of, like, this summer was grinding our teeth, getting efficient with one another, familiar with one another on stage, and then being able to develop that set, which is going to be really exciting coming back on the back end probably. I mean, we're going to do some stuff in the fall, but I'm going to be in Japan,
right.
For a decent amount of time. And then, 2026 will be kind of where we get to do, like, reinvent the live set, which, we've got a bunch of new songs that we're working on. So
nice.
But the Deftones, can I tell you this little
Absolutely.
story? So
absolutely.
I go to New Orleans. I'm living in Los Angeles, and I go to New Orleans to film this EP at the time. And I just put out, like, some demos, and this guy's like, I really like your stuff. You should come work with me. and he managed by like the same manager that does like Sum 41. Like he's got some connections, and he's he kind of sent me his stuff, and we had a great conversation. I went out there.
Yeah.
We get to the studio. He puts on the demos. He's like, let's just listen to your stuff. I've already listened to it, but let's listen to it together in the same room. And he's playing the songs, and then he stops, and he goes, you sound a lot like the Deftones. And I go, who the fuck are they? This is like 6 years ago. I had no idea like who the Deftones were, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, he just was like blown away. He's like, we're going to take a break here. We're going to go to the Starbucks. We're going to get some coffee. You're going to sit in that corner and listen to this album. So he gave me White Pony, and I just sat there like listening to it while he made some business calls. And like, I had never known them. I mean, I've heard of them, but I didn't know any of their shit. I can't even name more than like 5 songs now. Like I know Changes, and Now You've Seen the Butcher, and Drive. Those are like the only 3 like song names that I know. But like every time we play a show, we meet people, they hear the songs, they're like, you guys sound so much like the Deftones.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I didn't understand it until I saw them live, recently. Yeah. So I think that's really funny that like that comparison is there. It always would drive me nuts. That's why like I kind of like as a joke I named like the character the Butcher. Yeah. Because now you've seen the Butcher, so
the fucking I have one of the best stories ever about that tune. We went and seen them at fucking Float Right, and right before they went on, dude, the storm rolled in, right? So everything's lit up, it's dark out, right? And all of a sudden you look over the top of the stage, and it's got like a little beacon on the top of it, so it's flashing and shit, right? And they come in and they come on that song, awesome. And they're in the library, and it starts to bleed blood on them and shit, all of a sudden it starts to storm. Yeah. Now this cloud is rolling in like you would see in the movies, where it's just kind of fucking rolling up on the backside of the stage. And as soon as they kick in, they kick into the whole groove, it just starts pouring. Wow. And the lights are going, and it is like epic. Yeah. Instant to the music. I'm just standing there, and I look at my wife, she looks at me, and she goes, holy fuck. And it was one of the coolest experiences that I've seen them a million times. Yeah. I seen them for free in Minneapolis when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I've worked for them twice in Minneapolis. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've seen them a billion fucking times. Yeah. So it's like, it's funny. It's funny, when you connect with something like that, Yeah.
No, it is really funny. They're definitely like legends, Yeah. And so like I said, for the longest time, I didn't know who they were, and so when people would compare us, I'd be like, it was almost kind of like for me being like, well, I don't
know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, and which is but they're legends. So for people to be like, oh, you guys remind us of them, like, that's really sweet. Cause
I could hear it.
It's more of an enduring thing, I think so. Yeah. Not intentional, because when he played me, I was like, I know one of these songs off the record. That was it. So
he was probably just blown away.
Yeah,
I mean, if he pulled you aside and made you listen to one of their albums, he was definitely blown the fuck away.
Yeah, and it's funny because it keeps happening. Like this is a repetitive thing. Yeah, so so now that I've seen them live, now I can kind of understand it. But I think that's
and now I can try and rip them off.
Right? No, right? No, not really. But I will say, when we played a show at Midway Saloon, and there's this producer that like was trying to like get us. He was kind of full of shit, but he's like, you guys sound like the Deftones, but like heavier, man. Like I want to work with you guys and all this stuff. And it's just like it's just one of those things where it's like this happens almost every single show where we play. And I think that's another reason why, like, especially with Convulsions, I leaned a little bit more into
the heavier side of
stuff. But they've got heavy shit too, so
not like that.
Yeah, not like that. Yeah, I think it's the soft, like moaning kind of singing, to
emotional.
Yeah. So
it's the emotion in it. That's how I feel when I the next tune. I think we're going to do The Reckoning. I believe is the the Reckoning is the second song. Tell me about Convulsions, though. What was that one about? How did you come up with the idea for that one?
Yeah, so There's 3 different versions of Convulsions, right? And it kind of progressively got more heavier. And we were talking before. The first version was this kind of like chordal thing, and then it became really technical, and then it was so technical it didn't really make sense. If that make you know what I mean? Like why why is it so busy? You know, and it is busy, but at the time the other version was way too busy. So, and then this third version was like obviously he mentioned Slipknot, and so you know I didn't. Again, this is me being not someone that's super into. I mean, I love metal more now than ever, you know, but growing up,
but you're not fully versed. You're not fully versed in it, so you weren't influenced by it.
No,
the stuff that's coming out of you is coming out of you.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Well, the funny thing was, he told me I'm not a huge. He told me I need to listen to more Slipknot.
Yeah. No, you
like,
do, dude.
Yeah, and he's like, what did he say? He's like, the Iowa album. He basically told me like. I was like, yeah, I don't really care for that album that much, you know.
Yeah.
And then we're in the car, and the Nameless puts it on. And every time he puts on a song, he sends me a song. I'm like, I really like this song, and he's like,
I got you.
Yeah. He's like, that's from the fucking Iowa album. So, so I've been listening to a lot of Slipknot, and it was one of those things where, like, when I wrote it, I was like, I want to do this, and then I want to finish with like I want the vocals to kind of have almost like a Corey Taylor-esque.
Right.
And then the ending to be very Slipknot-esque. You know what I mean? So,
Bro, wasn't the ending like kind of like a little different though from what it turned out to be though?
Oh yeah.
Like back then?
Yeah. It wasn't even remotely like close to that like blast beat kind of, you know. So yeah,
Yeah, no, because I was just like he was he had sent me like a rough demo of like the guitar tracks and vocals and shit. And I was sitting there. I didn't have my bass at the time, and so I was actually fucking around on my boyfriend's 4-string, which is kind of weird because it's like in that song I use a 5-string. It's so trying to play it on a 4-string a little. It's possible. It's just like really only one note that not playable, but So I was, you know, like trying to like, you know, come up with stuff, and then I was like, "Yo, dude, check out this riff that I came up with for like, you know, it's like that fucking because I was thinking of kind of like Kill Pop by Slipknot off of their album .5, The Great Chapter, and because it's got like kind of like one of the like kind of like a technical kind of like riff like a type of shit, and I
love when bass players do that shit. It always fucking fascinates me because bass players can always remember that how it fucking goes. Dude, my old bass player was like, dude, how'd that go? Oh, you mean and you're like, no, the part after that. Oh yeah, I'm just, okay, that's what I wanted. That's the cool shit. Yeah, I love that shit.
No, and I was like, you know, like trying to come up with something like that, and I sent him over like, you know, like a little audio recording, like, yo, dude, check out this thing they came up with, and it just sounded like.
Right,
because it wasn't plugged in or anything. It was just right up on my phone, and then. He was like, I don't know, like a day or so later, he was like, "Yo, dude, check out this that I came up with," and
so you guys just went back and forth with cool ideas.
Yeah,
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone in the band that like it's fair to say that like I mean you're a way better bassist than I am for sure, but like I call him like the musician of the band. Right. So like he will remember like a part from a song from an album 40 fucking years ago and be able to reference it on the spot.
I'm telling you, there's something retarded about them motherfuckers, dude. I swear. No disrespect, and I know that's not a word that a lot of people like to use, but it really is kind of one of them things. It's like it's one of those like it's almost. I don't know. I would say like autism almost. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain parts of things that they can always remember that I always get lost. I'm a vocalist, man. I get lost in that shit.
Yeah.
And Now I want to ask you guys this too.
Yeah.
Now, as you guys have progressed as musicians, you know, you're fairly new to it. You know what I mean? You're just getting into it. You're chopping it up real good. Now you've been doing it a long while. Now you mentioned this earlier. When you started getting into music, the vocals are what really caught you.
Yeah.
Now, as you started playing guitar, has your hearing changed?
Yeah.
Is the guitar more prevalent than the vocals, or the vocals still stick out a lot more?
I'm a sucker for vocals, man.
So you feel the hook, you feel everything that comes with it.
I know we're gonna listen to the song later, but Savior, I dreamt that song, and I got up, and I knew the song like verbatim. It was in the dark of my room. My ex was laying in bed. Grabbed a guitar, walked to the other side of the room where I used to have like a light on or whatever.
Yeah.
Put the phone there, and like I just knew the song. Like the riff, the lyrics, and everything.
Yeah.
Like the chorus. The only thing I didn't have was the bridge.
Yeah.
So many times that's happened to me.
Fucking A, dude.
So many times.
That's real shit, dude.
So,
You can't buy that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people don't understand what that is, man.
Yeah.
You know, when they come and you have to stop.
Yeah.
You have to stop and you have to write it down, or you're going to forget, or
Yeah.
it could be gone forever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that. It is so hard to explain to someone who's never ever felt that creativity flow through them like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It is it's lightning, dude. It
Yeah.
is. It's an amazing feeling you can't describe in words. It just comes. You know what I mean? I've always felt like it's the quickening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that your heart moves fast, your mind moves fast, especially when you dream it, or when you feel it, and or like, you know, something pops up in your subconscious, and you go, holy shit, I gotta grab that. You know what I mean? Like, I've mouthed riffs, you know what I mean, and put my phone down and then go, did I do that last night? Or you mumble something, the start of a paragraph, you know what I mean? That type of shit. It's just I've always wondered about whether people's ears change as they play more instruments. Like, when you started playing saxophone, you were obviously searching for things and riffs off a saxophone. You start, you know, jazz, and, you know, well, I mean,
Not at all,
Really?
dude. No, literally, when I started playing saxophone, it was just like, it was like less of the fact like, oh, now I'm gonna go listen to fucking Miles Davis and all these jazz artists. It was more of like, well, I have something to do. I have a shiny thing. It makes noise, and I'm asthmatic, and playing a fucking wind instrument while asthmatic is
a motherfucker, right?
yeah. And plus, also, like, a lot of times, like, I remember last year I was part of the Twin Cities Gamer Symphony Orchestra, and there was a ballad that we were playing, probably like some song from Final Fantasy or something, and this always happened in high school as well. But like my bottom lip always cramped up, because it's like, you like the way
Imagine like, he's just walking around.
yeah, no, because like the way that you play is like,
Yep.
you're like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, it's like all that pressure on it is just cramping up. And so it's just like, I was just getting... And I fucking hated it, because, you know, I was like a little 8-year-old kid. And so I was like, you know what? I don't want to fucking do this anymore, man.
So with saxophone, you were really learning how to read music too.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing with all of those, you're learning all of that. So it's more of a reading thing more than a hearing thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
When you're starting out with the saxophone.
Yeah. Because it's like, for that, like, it opened, like, you know, like I learned how to read sheet music, and then through that, you know, I
transposing it.
Yeah. And I mean, really, the whole transposition stuff and more music theory side of it didn't really come until high school, when I took a music theory class, and then I was like,
That's all Japanese to
so
me,
cool.
bro. It really is. Like, I couldn't even. It would fuck me up more.
Nah, dude. For me, it's more like Spanish. I can't. I can barely. I like cannot understand like any of it. Pero, me puedo hablar un poquito a veces. I can speak a little every now and then, but it's like, if you were to like start like say like having like a conversation with me in Spanish and be like,
I got no
comprendo.
I got a quarter of that, man. That's how I am too. I don't speak a lick of fucking Spanish, but I'm half Mexican. You know what I'm saying?
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah. I know. I met a dude from San Antonio, and he called me a coconut, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "You're brown on the outside, but white on the inside," and I just laughed. I'm like, "I get it. I get it. You're right. Yep, you're absolutely right, dude." I laughed, man. I couldn't not laugh about that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, let's take a listen to The Reckoning.
All right.
We'll play one more tune. You folks check this tune out, and we will be right back shortly.
Fucking coconut. Sometimes gotta like spend like $100. Either way, it's like make it dance what the It's like I get to right before the reckoning and I take it off and just shit like that. Anders? No fucking way. You know Anders Persephone? Oh. Dude, that's dope as shit. The star's still on there. I gotta pick up a copy of that re-recording that he did with Chaos.
I fucking love it, dude.
Thanks, man.
It's very cool, man. It's different. Not a lot of this stuff going around here. You know what I'm saying? It's different. That's why, like I said, you said about the name.
Yeah.
To me, the name stuck out to me.
Yeah.
It already gave me images in my head when I said the name.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's a cool fucking name. And then again, I see you around multiple shows. Like you said, you played, 15 shows in the last few months?
Yeah.
that'll put you on somebody's radar if they're paying attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then taking the time to listen to it. I think I asked you for some stuff.
Yeah.
And you sent me some stuff, and then checking it out.
Yeah.
It was one of those deals, where I like it. It's different. And one of my favorite bands in town, Beast Faces, is one of those bands. It's different. You know what I mean? It's not like you guys, not like anybody. It's not heavy like all these other motherfuckers trying to be the heaviest dudes in town.
Yeah.
It's not blast beaty. It's got kind of a punk feel to it. It's got, you know what I mean? It's different.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I think that, bands that are different should play with everything that's close to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Death metal, thrash metal, whatever kind of metal, rock and roll, whatever fits with what you're doing, man. Cause it's cool. And then the imagery's great, man.
Yeah.
I really like it. So who does your video stuff? Who did all the cinematography and everything?
This guy right here.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of a long story is that when I first started doing this, like I said, I recorded in New Orleans. So I lived in LA, flew to New Orleans for, I don't know, almost a month. And then in between that, I flew to Minnesota to work with a videographer. And we filmed a music video in Duluth.
Nice.
And then I went back to New Orleans, went back to LA, and the amount of money I spent as an unknown artist was ridiculous. I burned through $5,000 in like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm just a regular. I work a job like everybody else, So I was like, I can't keep doing this because there's no way that like I can sustain this. So I, having gone to college for live sound and recording. It's one of those things where I got to the very end of having a diploma, and like that didn't mean shit. Like I knew people who graduated who can't even run a soundboard to save their life, or how do I turn this on or whatever, which is really sad. I think that's a kind of a letdown of the colleges and extortion of students, young people who are way in debt.
Yep. And continue to do it.
Yeah,
nonstop,
100%. And so I kind of at a certain point was like, well, we were gonna go back and do another EP, and the guy that I had worked with originally, the producer, and I just didn't see eye to eye. Cool story, but this probably isn't the best thing to say on air. But he was trying to shop the stuff to bring me the Horizon.
Yeah,
like they had the contact, and I was like, that's fucking cool. Let's do that. And so
just to sell your material, or to get you involved in something.
Well, he thought that the songs that we were doing at the time was very similar to what they were doing.
Sure.
And that he could shop the songs as like, well, if you need a mixer, if you need this, and then the name, like Ghostmade Cellophane, would be a part of that package. Just basically like saying, oh, by the way, if you like this band, this is this band's name.
Right.
But he's trying to sell his service, right?
Sure. And
we were kind of butting heads because he wanted it to be a very particular way, and I wanted it to be a very particular way. So we parted ways. He ended up sending. I usually at the time I pay for everything in advance, right?
Right.
And so he sent me all of my money back, and I was like, cool. But then we've been waiting 10 months to get this EP done, or I was, and it really elongated. That was kind of why we had the 2-year thing where, like I said, September was really when it started. January with the Nameless. But the year prior, it was like, almost an entire year of my life gone because I was waiting and waiting. Promises, and I already paid you, And so, for me I'm a fairly nice person, but I just,
fed up.
Yeah, fed up. But I kind of was leaning on him like, hey, I need this. But once I got the money back, I was like, what, fuck it. Like my minor in college was multimedia, so I've done film stuff before. Let me just go use this money I paid him and go buy a bunch of stuff. So a couple $1,000s worth of plugins later, and recording software and video editing software. I use the same stuff that Disney uses. I use DaVinci.
Oh, gotcha. That's a great camera. Great program.
It is, and so a lot of it was
Black
just like
magic right there.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. I just decided that I would start doing it, pretty much all of myself with some assistance on the back end. So like if I have to be in front of the camera, having someone do hold the camera for that.
Yeah.
But like explaining to them, move it this way, go like this, turn it like this,
teaching someone pretty much.
Basically, in like every video, we've had a different person behind the camera, and sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not. And then learning how to do the different softwares. So like on The Reckoning, the original master for the instrumental, that is from New Orleans. All of the guitar, shout out to Corey Jocelyn, because the lead guitar is a friend of mine named Corey Jocelyn. He used to play in a band called Anomic.
Nice.
And so I have him on that. So we recorded that, and then we recorded that. My friend Jay in Nocturnal Villains and The Dark Noon was kind of helping with that, and then I recorded the vocals, and then I remixed and remastered it. So the remixed, remastered version of that song is done by me. Convulsions was all recorded at my home.
Wow, really cool. Man.
So it was one of those things where I'm like, if I don't have to keep paying people money, I can put that money into promotion and to travel. Because, when we go play shows, like we went up to Grand Forks and we were going to do Minot. The car broke down on the way to Minot, so we had to cancel this festival we were playing. But I'm usually the one fronting, money for gas. And like, I think I burned through like, what was it, $240 in gas?
Yeah.
For out of my pocket, and I work a day job, so it was like, I didn't want to keep doing that where I was losing out. So a lot of it's me,
cutting back and making.
Yeah.
And dude, I feel everything you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Like when I started doing this, I just realized how to build it all for me to do it. And then I had a co-host, and then he came back for a couple months and did some other things. And he's brilliant sound guy, brilliant with tech stuff. He's brilliant with it. But I built it all to do it myself. And so if he couldn't make it, I'd have to move everything back to me. And no disrespect to him at all, because I love the shit out of the guy. He's one of my best friends. See him every single day to this day. But I just, you know what I mean? I couldn't. I understand where you're coming from. It's difficult to have to rely on other people and it's not the fact that any of the people that we're talking about, your guy or my guy are not reliable in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. It's just when you feel the need that you need to be self-reliant on it's your nobody's going to care about what you're doing more than you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a hobby,
Yeah.
like it's very important to be able to not have to wait, like,
why should you? 10 months is a long time to wait.
You've already waited long enough to lay it down first, and then to maybe lose a guy, gain a guy, and then reform or refine it, or you listen to it, you play it multiple times, record it once, and then go, I don't really like it that way. I want to change it. Yeah. Or something musically changes in your mind, and it's like, nah, that ain't where I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it switches up multiple times. I mean, I think it's almost a shame that people don't do it more often.
Yeah.
They go, okay, this is good enough. Let's go. Yeah. And every time you see them, they play it different because they're like, you didn't push it to the full extent of it. You just let it, it's not good. It's good enough, that type of shit,
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's super important too, and this is kind of where we're going in like 2026 is really to just get more stuff out there. I feel like when the Nameless joined originally, his comment was like he went through and looked at like basically all of the history of everything I've done musically. It was the first time I've ever had someone do that. Like every band I've been in. Like why he saw these gaps in time of you were doing stuff then and then you do nothing for a year or 6 months or whatever.
What made you interested in doing that? What made you in your mind say I want to look back just to get the knowledge of what he was doing to feel it more? Or
I think it was a mix of that and also just geeking out about the fact like, oh shit, this dude's in a band. He's been doing music for a while, I want to know everything about it. It's a mix of that. And plus also I feel like kind of like just like because
I mean, it makes sense to me because obviously, I mean, you from just hearing your story again, that's why I love to hear that past stuff to where you get how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah,
and just listening, I feel like you're a lifer. You like it. You like the puzzle of it. And to have somebody who's obviously as involved in his own material and loves the fact of playing music. It called to him, and you hear it, you feel it.
Yeah.
That's why I imagine that's what it is,
Yeah,
man.
no, for me, I'm like the kind of guy that like I like to over analyze like a lot of stuff. Like I'd go through like say like with Vermilion by Slipknot.
Yeah.
You know, I'd go through and like, you know, like, oh, I learn it, you know, I try to learn it on guitar. I'm like, wait, hold up, this is some really crazy kind of like shit that you know, like that Mick or Jim is doing here.
Yeah.
And there's like, and then like, you know, like as I like, you know, like go through, I like, you know, like learn like a whole lot more than like what I knew what I realized at the surface. Like all of a sudden it goes from like 4/4 to 3/4, or then it modulates to a completely different key, and then not only that, but also like analyzing like the lyrics and themes behind like different songs, like oh, you know, like and not even just that, but like also like the realization that like, you know, like one song can have like 500 different meanings. A song
Do you like to look into it to where if you can find the meaning of what do you listen to a song, read the lyrics, and then kind of paint your own picture? Do you actually search to find what they were meaning when they? Sometimes
I do, but then at the same time you get cases where it's like, you know, like
polar opposite.
Yeah. No, but like there's this one like, you know, like I'd be like, you know, like, oh, it speaks to me like in this way, and then like I like go through like interviews from like bands, and like they're like, oh, this song actually is about like starting fire with like flint and steel.
Yeah.
And then like in a completely other video, they're like, oh, okay, so this song's actually like about how like as a kid, you know, like this really cool thing happened to me, and then I was like, wow, and then that became my whole personality.
Right.
And then last year I was like, no, I'm gonna be a metalhead, even though they've been in the band for like 20 years at that point, you know, like bullshit like that. And it really in reality, like, you know, like just one song, like it can like have like, you know, like looking at it for like a thematic perspective, like say like, oh, this one band, they have this song, you know, like, and then with these songs that are around it could be like, oh, it's like about like possession, like a demon like trying to like possess someone, or and like saying them like into like having like seizures and shit. And then you could be like looking at it from a more like metaphorical standpoint on how like, you know, like how like, oh, it's about like addictions, and how like, you know, like addictions can like take control, and you know, like, you know, it can turn you into someone who you're not. It can it can make you do terrible things that you could never have imagined yourself doing, or you know, like, you know, how like much it can deform you and turn you into a completely other different
manipulate you.
Yeah. And so it's like really like, you know, like one song, it could be like, you know, like it can have like one meaning, you know, like, and then it could have like another meaning. And it's like really, for me, it's like I feel like especially with like songs like that really hit the most, because it can like, you know, like if I'm feeling one way, you know, like it hits me then, and then I'm feeling another way and it hits me then, and then oh, it also reminds me of like this thing that happened in my past. It hits me then. And so it's like,
so let me ask you guys this. Are there songs that you listen to this day that will make you get emotional?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
There's some songs I like refuse to listen, although that's more of like kind of like a superstitious kind of like thing. But like, yeah, no, there's definitely songs.
Just songs that you won't listen to?
There's one specific song that I will not listen to, just because it's like, wouldn't you like to know?
I'd love to know,
boy?
so I can just put it on in the car and we're going.
No.
On repeat.
It's like this one song by some
I
stupid...
tortured a buddy like that, dude.
Yeah.
He said something about sevens.
Yeah.
And I called him Johnny Sevens from that point on for like years.
Oh,
and
no.
like he said it just is bad, an unlucky number for him.
Yeah.
Like anytime he sees it, he avoids everything, and he does certain rituals and like things that he does to avoid sevens. And dude, I would put it on his wall. I would fuck with him all the time. And I didn't really realize it until something that I was kind of superstitious about started happening to me multiple times over. And I was like, I'm terrified right now.
Yeah. No.
Like I'm literally terrified, and I shouldn't be doing this, dude. I feel horrible.
Yeah.
And it was like a year that I just fucked with him like that, and I just thought it was funny. And I look back and I'm like, God, I was a fucking asshole. Dude, what a dick, man. You know?
Yeah. No, it's like this stupid Midwest emo song where it's like it seems like.
Don't do it. Don't tell anyone.
Oh no, I'm not
Save
telling
it.
anyone. No, but I'm just like anytime like this song, like like one time, like, oh, I came across it, and then, oh, this really shitty thing happened.
Right.
And then, like, like a few months later, I'm just listening to that song and a bunch of others. And then, oh, this other shitty thing happened. And then,
Just too
like
coincidental.
a year later, it was like, like, again, like I was listening to like a lot of like shit around it, including that song, and then this really shitty thing happened.
I know, right?
You can feel it, dude. He wants to say it, dude. You can feel it.
Oh, wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't you like that?
right.
No. But it's and then there's on with what you said, like just songs that like make you emotional. There's definitely a few.
I'm a big dude. I'm a burly guy. I've been that way since I was a young kid, and I told a friend of mine, he was like 600 pounds when we were kids, and I was complaining about this girl one time, and he got really emotional with me, and he was like, he told me how it is to be a big dude and to be at the grocery store and little kids are pointing at him, and he really got emotional with me, and it makes you pull back and analyze your shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm complaining about this girl that he's never had a girlfriend. He never was with girls, and I'm crying about this girl, and he's talking about real shit, about his personal feelings, and you know what I mean? Like it's those type of things that just get me, dude. Those one tunes that hit you in that one bone, where you're just you can't help but to fucking drop one. I'm an emotional dude, so I've always been like, stay the fuck away. I'm fucking tattooed up. I'll fuck you up. And I was fucking molested as a kid, dude. I've said it before. And you put this fucking wall up, and you don't want anybody to see who you truly are, So you become aggressive, and you become that's what pushed me into heavy music. It was like I wanted aggression around me 100% all the time. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry that happened to you.
But well, and I am too. I am too, because I know that it takes your innocence from you, and you question who you are. You question what you're going to be. You everything is fear, everything's trust. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing, man. But the music is always it's broken me of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe that you should grow as human beings. You should always grow. Music has helped me a ton to grow.
Yeah.
As a human, I think that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
And there's something spiritual about, and I'm not saying that the good or bad. I'm not saying the heaven or hell.
Yeah.
None of that has nothing to do with religion. There's something spiritual about getting deep inside your soul and grabbing from the ether to make something incredible that nobody's ever heard before. Again, you sound like those guys. Well, I'm not. Who the fuck are they?
Right.
Never heard them before. So you showing me, it probably will never change the way you create music.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, there's somebody else creating similar to me. You know what I mean? I hear it a little bit, but I hear a lot of other things in there too that make it not like those guys. I hear it a little bit, but how
music and dance have always been like a spiritual thing throughout history. It's always been very ritualistic.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about the what you hear in the songs, but I'll tell you, for me, there's two bands in my life that I have an emotional connection to. There's the Linkin Park, and My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
So like, with like One More Light would be like the song that like when it comes on, like I want to cry, just like even just thinking about it right now, I get emotional because growing up, like Chester Bennington was like my fucking hero, so it just like all the pain, all the abuse, all that shit was like his pain, his voice, the lyrics, what they were kind of standing for, like, and he had that too,
Yeah.
His stories, and so that song, One More Light, is definitely like one I don't listen to often because it kind of puts me in a place. And then for a long time, like we talked about this when we first started hanging out, but I wouldn't listen to My Chemical Romance because when I was a kid, I've had a lot of fucked up shit, but when I was a kid, I was 15 or teenager, the person I thought that was my dad at the time literally tried to kill me, saying that's what he's going to do. And, hand around my throat. And and I remember it got so bad because my mom had kicked me out at 15. Right. And so, I went back to live with her and like, I wrote, basically like your goodbye letter, right? Planned my suicide.
Yep.
Right. And my brother actually, he got me the Black Parade CD, my chem, and
Speaks to You, dude. That's a good album.
It's a great album, and and a birthday card. And here's this 15-year-old turning 16, who like you couldn't get to him. He wanted to take his life, And I remember, okay, I'm gonna get emotional, but
it's okay, man.
I remember my mom driving me to work because at 15 I worked right at Godfather's Pizza in Detroit Lakes.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, Sang got you his card." So I opened it up and I put the CD in, and then it's like a 30-minute drive. So by the time we get to work, we're like 6-7 songs in.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this birthday card, and this defeated teenager just started, I started crying, because it was just like I was ready to be gone. You know what I mean? So, like when I hear like Famous Last Words, like it's one of those things that like
it brings up those emotions, man.
It does, and it's one of those
teleports you backwards.
Yeah, and it also gives me a lot of strength because,
you're here, dude. You're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here, and in the words, like I'm not like in the song, it's like I'm not afraid to keep on living. I'm not afraid to walk this world alone. Like, to a kid that felt so broken. I even like, recently this last year has been a really hard year. We lost both my grandparents, and
I feel you, dude.
So it was one of those things where earlier this year, like I had put some My Chem on, and it was one of those like I haven't listened to them in 2 years or whatever, and like actively taking the time, and then to go back and just kind of, it was this moment of clarity. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's that person that you were, because the older you get, the more jaded you get, know? And so I was like, oh, there's that person that fell in love with music. There's that person that was vulnerable, was willing to be happy,
Perspective, dude.
And not even like the thing too is like the aggression. Like, we live in a city, I'm from Northeast Minneapolis, but then I moved to Osseo. Right. So, aggression. Minneapolis is a very aggressive place. It's a very violent place. I've seen a lot of really fucked up stuff in my life. And, I remember when I went to LA, everybody's like, why are you trying to fight everybody? Why are you trying to argue with everybody? I was like, I'm not. Like, you are. And I didn't realize it, but that's how we're so aggressive here, and it's really hard to ride that fence of, well, I need to be burly and tattoos and aggressive, I need to be the butcher or whatever,
Fence,
versus like being someone that's fun to be around, someone that's willing to wear their heart on their sleeve. Like, and I think that's one thing that's really beautiful with me and like Ghostmade is that like, I've been able to kind of find that opening in my life again where like, Convulsions is about addiction. It's about the voice of your addiction saying, I want to take everything that you are as a person. I must have your heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are the lyrics. But I must have your heart.
Burn with this. I'll
Yeah.
find a way to hold you down and take what's mine.
Yeah. You know, like that's
knows
what
his shit, dude.
Right? See, that's
I
the shit.
love it, dude.
And I'm
I
the
love
fucking
it.
vocalist, right? So like, you know, and then The Reckoning is about, you know, like Christianity. You know, I grew up in a really Christian household, and there's a lot of fucked up stuff about the church. And I remember
Hypocrisy, dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just had the conversation with my mother.
Yeah.
You say Detroit Lakes. My family's up from Monoman.
Okay, yeah,
I know,
yeah,
I know the area. White Earth. That's where my grandpa's
yeah.
from. Is White Earth. So it's just kind of, yeah, dude. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
I had this. So I used to do sound at a church, and I'll name the church. Fuck it. I used to do sound at First Assembly Church in Fargo, right? Assist with sound and stuff like that. And they had asked me to do one of those like day services or whatever. And I had hung out with like the pastors. They were like my age at the time, and they were so really young for being pastors for churches. And I remember like going in, and they had called everybody to the front. So everybody got on their knees, and they're commanding them to speak in tongue. And I just, if you read the Bible, and I'm not a religious person anymore, but it's a very rare occasion where people spoke in tongue, let alone like a 20-something-year-old, telling,
trying to invoke it.
Yeah, and like 200 people that are there,
Right.
and then he put the mic up to people, and they would say gibberish,
Whatever,
and whatever, right? And so the song, The Reckoning, is really like that moment in time where I was like, this is all fucking bullshit, I was like being condemned for like wanting to focus most of my time on music and not the church, even though I helped run sound for the church. I was there.
Hypocrisy,
like,
dude.
yeah. So it was interesting that was I was the black sheep and all of that, but yeah, it's cool with Ghostmade that I feel like I could be very honest, about.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
Just to find that avenue, you know what I mean? At any point of life, man. Again, I go back to the lessons of it all. Lesson.
Right.
It's just one of those things, man, where you go through a lot of shit, and to be able to reflect on it and look back and still be okay to move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we progress. That's how we stay creative. That's how we move as humans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think what bums me out a lot, because I have children. My youngest is 18, but I see a lot of how she deals with things and how the anxiety overcomes her. Where anxiety for guys my age, I'm 50, I'll be 53 in December, so I'm an old fuck, but I know a lot of people of all ages, and I see as they progress, people in their, just in their 25s right now, and going to 30, from 30 to 40, from 40 to my age. I know so many people in the mix of all of those, and I look at my daughter who's now 18, and you say something sideways to her, and it just becomes this mountain of an issue, where we were talking about being picked on as kids, or being in situations where you were ostracized in some way, shape, or form. We could have let that being abused, molested, verbally abused, anything that made you feel small in front of people, or you know what I mean, made you feel less than. Right. We never let it overcome us. You know what I'm saying? That's why I've always said, again, I've said this a million times on the podcast, but whenever I do shows, all age shows, and I see parents bringing their kids to these shows, or parents whose kids play in bands now, and they've endured that loud noise, and they've endured all of it, I stop and say thank you. Because they don't understand what this means to me and what it means to you, someone who's picked up an instrument at 21 years of age, but doesn't want to ever put it down, wants to create till you can't anymore. You feel it in your soul. You know what I mean? And I always say thank you to those parents, because they're enduring the things that our parents may have endured or tried to avoid, because they didn't want us to fucking be part of it, or like, you're going to be with the devil, you're doing this for this reason, you're doing it, and they try to shun you. But your heart, if your heart finds it, you can't not answer that call. You know what I'm saying? Again, my fucking hair standing up, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
I always think that music for me in my aggressive state where I was when I found it, okay? I tried to punk this dude in line, and he played bass, right? My buddy and I went to go smoke a joint, and he's like, hey, my buddy's band's playing over here. And I walk into this dude's house. There's that guy I try to punk in line.
Yeah.
And he's playing bass, and all of a sudden I'm just like, wow, they're doing it, man. These are kids my age, and they're fucking doing it. You know, they're playing covers, and they're playing Slayer and Metallica and AC/DC and things like that. And I was just like, wow. And they didn't have a singer.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you got something I can sing through, I'll do it. You know. And they're like, really? And I couldn't. He remembered your lyrics because again, bass players are fucking freaks like that.
Yeah.
You know, they remember that shit.
Yeah.
You didn't remember your lyrics, but I bet you if you played 2 notes of that shit, it would come back in a flood.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Everything would come back in a second,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's exactly how I am. It's in you. It's stuck there.
Yep.
You write it down, and you may not be able to remember that paragraph, but you put it to the music, man. It's hooked on phonics. It is there for you, man.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that music is like a Rubik's Cube, man. You got to learn the pattern to unlock everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be able to be comfortable with another musician and know what he's going to do before he does it, or he knows where you're at, or hears you fuck up but knows you're not going to stop.
Yeah.
He just goes to the next part. He don't even have to. He knows you're going to catch up. You're in it now together, and then all of a sudden it goes to the next part, and you're both just throwing down. That is synergy. That is something that nobody ever will understand ever.
Yeah.
And to try to explain it to somebody who's never felt it or touched it, it is almost impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah.
But we're proof that it changes people, that it brings better life, man. That creativity molded us to be who we are. I think back at all the people who ever said that musicians were devil worshipers, or the music that they were playing, and then you meet these people and you talk to them and you meet other musicians. I have never met more intelligent, kind, loving fucking human beings until I met the musician that I know.
Yeah.
They're some of the most genuine, give you the fucking shirt. I mean, the guy who gives me this room is one of the most generous guys I've ever met in my life. And he doesn't need you to tell him that. He's just a good dude that if you're his boy, he'll hook you up. He's just your boy. You know what I'm saying? He's a good dude, a solid guy that you could call on any second. You know what I mean? And we all need those people, man. And that's why I do the podcast, bro. We basically went from off air to bring it right back around, because that's what it is, man. Is just giving it back.
Yeah.
Teaching people what it's all about, trying for all of us to learn to get to the next level, you know?
Yeah. No,
I wanted to kind of, go ahead.
I was going to say, you were talking about your daughter, 18, and dealing with anxiety, you know. I have some nieces and nephews who are, you know, junior high school, right, you know. And what I see a lot in this generation coming up of kids, like, is a lot of them, especially with how COVID got locked down and they weren't in class, and fucked them up hard, you know, and the anxiety, the inability to deal with certain life things is going to be
communicate.
Just to communicate is going to be a struggle, you know, more so than, you know, and then you have a lot of like, how can I say this without getting canceled? We're in a place where, and it's a beautiful thing, where people are learning, you know, like they're learning like, oh, I'm trans, I'm bisexual, I'm all this stuff, right? I'm not that, but I'm just saying like people are discovering like who they are, and there's a freedom to that. Yeah. But with that mixed with the media and everything going on, and then the inability to communicate, there's so much stuff being pumped to them, and there's so much like identity crisis that I see. You know, and when I say that, I really mean like there's because of like the media and the lack of communication of not being in school, like that anxiety that's there. There's definitely a sense of like identity crisis in that, and it's beautiful that we're living in an age where, you know, like I love that we have fans that are, in my opinion, like a part of like the LGBTQ community, you know. Because they find a connection and an authenticity in what we're doing. They may not love heavy screaming stuff, right? But they love the fact that David is on stage, like being the Nameless is on stage, being who he is, and that is him expressing who he is, and there's a connection that's there, and so I love that we have that option now, because I feel like in the past, especially like when I was a kid, there was so much condemning for
bigotry.
Yeah, 100%, and so, but to go back though, it's definitely going to be a struggle, and I've seen some of the younger generation like connect with, we played the Flying V show, and like these kids are like, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, whatever, and they're sharing our stuff, you know what I mean, on their Instagrams, and
they're the next generation.
Yeah.
Man. They're the ones that we have to infuse with this lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's I wouldn't say that my content is by any means child friendly, but once you get into 7th, 8th grade, I mean, that's where I experienced a lot of crazy shit. I seen a lot more crazy shit when I was younger, but I'm just saying, you it's your formative years. You're learning things. You're starting to figure it out. And I feel like a lot of the music community, there is a lot of community, just that. There's a lot of love there for people and acceptance. And I feel like with media and things, man. I mean, if you look back, what is that? 4 years of the COVID shutdowns, and people pulling away, and that's 12 months. 12 months per year. That's a lot of time of people not associating and socializing with people, and learning those little quirks, and learning how to navigate life. Dude, when I was 10 years old, I was a latchkey kid. I had a key to my house, and I walked to and from the school. I sound like one of those old guys in the snow, uphill both ways or whatever, but I couldn't imagine my kid right now at 18, I panic. I'm just like, fuck, she has no idea what she's doing.
And I wanted to say, like, with, as I guess kind of like not necessarily like partially like part of like the younger generation, I guess, as you were saying, but also like, like not in high school anymore. It's like, and as someone who like my freshman year was spent like in like it was literally March, second semester of my freshman year, the lockdown hit, and it was like, damn. And it's like, I feel like yes, like there is like in general with people, like in my general age range, I mean, I can't really speak for like, like people who are like, like just starting out high school or middle school or whatever have you, where like those even more like impressionative years, like, like having like a whole bunch of shit thrown at them. I can't really speak for them, but at the very least for me, and like my like kind of like section of people, it's like is just like more so just in general, I feel like finding like a lack of identity, but at the same time, like with that, like I feel like there's definitely like parts of you where like you still don't know, like like what you are or who you are or who you're like supposed to be. But at the same time with that, I feel like, and this is as someone who is part of the LGBTQIA plus community and knows tons of people in that community, people who are pan, bi, gay, lesbian, trans, asexual, aromantic, like intersex, all of that shit. It's like, it seems like that, like for that, like, like during like the lockdown and shit, like it also like has like, especially like people who have like, like access to the internet, like, like being able to like find, like people who are like you, and being able to find, like wait, I also experienced that, or like wait, I also like, like I'm like that in a sense, or like, like I feel like there's also like a lot that you also have found, like, and even for myself, I found like a lot of myself like during those like periods of isolation. And that's not to say like it was necessarily like a good thing I was isolated. No, it was terrible. I mean, like, because it was like I found like, like a lot about myself, but like even then, like afterwards, it was like, like going back to high school and shit. It's like like from the pandemic, after like the lockdowns and shit, it's like, okay, now what? And like this is like coming from someone who was like, I didn't have like, had like barely any friends in high school. I had like almost no friends in high school until like my buddy Nathan had moved up to Sandwich junior year. Me and him, we've been friends for like since we were 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so we're like brothers like that, man. And it was like with that, it was like, like I found like, like that part of myself, like, and I found like a community, but like growing up in a small town and shit, and someone who like has like, like is clinically diagnosed with like depression, anxiety, PTSD, like from just a bunch of shit. It's like going into high school, it's like, like I want to like, like meet like these like people. I want to like, like talk to them, like actually like be able to like
interact with them. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, I have no way of like, how do I go about doing this? Like, like, cause like all of these people, like, like they've known like, like, oh, I'm like this, or oh, I'm like that, like for like years before, but like for me, it was just like, like I kind of like found like that, like part of like who I am, like during that time. And it's like, how do I like, like, it's almost like trying to like, like you see someone who like looks cool and like, like you want to like talk to them, and they're like, but they're like having a conversation with someone else. And it's like, you can't just like butt in. And it's just like, because then it throws everything off balance, and you feel like a piece of shit.
Awkward as shit. Hey, I know what you're talking about, man. I had that.
Yeah, but then at the
That's
same,
me, 100%.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's like what else do I do?
Yeah.
And so it was just like it was really hard, like to be able to do that, and it's definitely like left like high school like to be like very like isolating for me.
Yeah.
And it was but it's
a tough situation, man. I couldn't imagine being in school at that particular time. Like all of your friends are doing all these things, and then all of a sudden it's shut down, and you have no access to anything. Yeah, you're not supposed to go anywhere. You're not supposed to interact with anyone. I missed out on everything. Yeah. I should have been podcasting the entire time and like doing interviews. Perfect. Dude, I stopped. I was just like, fuck it. I don't want to go. I don't have to do this anymore right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like a nice little break for a while, because I was going 2 times a week or some shit.
Well, I know we look back on it and we kind of laugh at the lockdown, but during the time, especially at the very beginning, was horrifying. Yeah. Like we laugh at it now, and I think that's humanity, like haha, hard times. But like the reaction to it, like they had people in like India like burning the bodies, and like my bassist in the band before, right? He is from Bangladesh, right? And he moved to the U.S. to get a job to pay for his basically everybody at home, grandparents, mom, dad, brother, sisters, that they had, money. Yeah. And his opportunity was here. Well, when lockdown happened, it was just like, now his whole life is across the world. And now they're closing down his company, and what is he going to do to support them? Like that's some real life shit right there. You know what I mean? And
I couldn't imagine that. That would be horrible.
Right. And then it just, and then it was terrifying, people can say what they want to say about COVID and they can have their opinions on it. But the thing is, the reality of it was freaking terrifying. You know what I mean? For a lot of people, and especially the first wave, because we've never had anything like that in our lifetime. I don't think in your lifetime. No. And it's this
nothing that massive. I would think the AIDS epidemic in the 80s was something that made everybody terrified when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm fucking 80. I was 8 years old at that time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. So, you can imagine 79 to 80.
Yeah.
I'm in first, second grade. I'm seeing all this stuff, and your heroes and actors and everybody's getting AIDS, and they're not saying that they're gay or that they're homosexual in any way, shape, or form, because it was, you kept it in the closet. You didn't tell anybody. Everybody shit on you for it. You know what I mean? And then you get Studio 54 or whatever, in the disco era. And, you go from the 60s where it was free love and everybody was happy and whatever they wanted to do, they could do. Yeah. And then you get into the 70s, it was conservative and kind of weird. Yeah. And then it hits the disco time, and then cocaine hits, at the end of the 70s into the 80s, and then all of that crazy shit goes on, but that is as close as you would get in my lifetime. Yeah. You think about that, you get the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, you get the pandemic that in the 2000s to 2021, 2021, something like that. Yeah. The internet, multiple wars.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah, there's been a lot, and the other thing too is just like, because of like the stuff with the media, imagine being a teenager. Let's just play out a scenario. Yeah. Everything shuts down. Your parents can't go to work. Right now, they're concerned about finances and what's going on. You're a teenager and you're looking at the world and you're saying, "What's going on?" Because now even your parents don't know what to do. Yeah. And then you have the media telling you all of these different things. You don't know what is reality. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like this group is responsible for it, and then no, it's this group, and they want to they want to kill you all, and they hate all of you, and then but then these guys are like, no, it's actually this group, because it's just all sorts of political bullshit, and I feel like especially really it was because you look now and you see the very, very radical, how politics nowadays are very
swing
radical.
So far one way or the other.
Yeah, you're very this or you're very that. Yeah.
Well, I don't even think it's that way now. I really honestly think that if you're not just a little bit with the people that you represent at all, then automatically these people over here are 100% against you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're not 100% against with the people that you normally run with, they will say your silence is bad. You might as well go to the other fucking side.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had this directly to me because I stay away from all of it and I try to be fucking Switzerland up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's be Switzerland up in here.
So I don't try. So I don't try to. I don't try to get too provocative with certain questions and how people are and whatever. I let people be who they are. If they try to force it on me, then I get a little pissed about it. And I don't want you to put it out to people. You want to talk to them about that shit, you go and talk to them. Don't come here and talk about it because I don't want to talk about it.
No, but something kind of interesting is granted, I haven't been around as long as you guys, but just looking
it's a
at
polite way of saying we're old, dude.
Wow.
Just looking back at previous presidential debates, it's really interesting how 2020 with the lockdown, it was with how the whole world is in panic mode, and it almost seems like human nature to try to find something to put a blame onto. And so really with that whole era, that era, I guess, with the pandemic, it's I feel is really when things became very
shitty,
drastic, and very if you're not
it was headed that way.
To quote Hayden Christensen, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. You know.
Well, that's it, and it was headed that way to begin with. I think that it was. I think that it. And this is just my perspective on it, and I'm not trying to get too political about anything. But when you look at the past, it's virtually been one way for so long, and when it goes so far one way, and that's would be your when the orange guy gets involved, right? So things start to push down this way. And then when the orange guy goes away, it bounces so far this way that it's more harm than good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's no center anymore. There's no way for someone to actually have a conversation about things that matter and things that need to get resolved. It's either you do it my way or you're against me. You're not either against me or you're my, you know what I mean? You're with me or you're my enemy.
Yeah.
And that is the way it is. It's really sad because you see family members, you see people that have been friends for so many years and they divide over things that none of those motherfuckers in Washington give two shits less about you. If you were on fire, they would hire somebody else to piss in a cup to throw it on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not getting directly pissed on because he doesn't want to be involved in it. So he wants to tell, you know what I'm saying? And it goes on either side of the fence. That's the sad thing about it, you know? And again, I feel like this with religion. I feel like this with politics. I was just talking to a guy that I know who's conservative just the other day. And I said, you know what? Back in my day, you'd get your ass kicked for talking about sports, politics, and fucking religion. That was it. You couldn't do it because everybody wanted to go, shut the fuck up already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about that. We're here to have a couple of drinks and to have a good time, to let off steam, not talk about everybody other, you know, and you can't get away from it because of these fucking things.
Yeah.
We constantly are on the fucking, you know, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fear of everything, you know. Yes, there are a ton of shootings going on. Yes, there are a ton of children dying. Yes, there are people dying all over the world because people are fucking shitty to each other. Yes, this is true.
It's
but
always been that way, though.
Here's the thing, though, is tribes have been doing it to each other for millennia, dude. They've been you fight over a small piece of farmland or something, and they take those people as slaves, you know, women as whatever, they mate with them, they reproduce to create more for their tribe, and they keep them as sex slaves. To this day, we've got children that are being taken places and fucking sold off and all this shit, and people don't want to give up lists. And, you know, it infuriates me because I've been through this as a child, and it drives me absolutely up a fucking wall that people, adult human beings, can't say. Now, if any person in this world right now, you went up and just grabbed somebody's kid, there's going to be a fucking Amber Alert out on your ass in seconds. But if they find you on the internet talking to some kid and you've already done this multiple times and you've violated children, they put you in jail and they throw you right the fuck back out. You know, there are people getting out when they've hurt children. You know what I'm saying? It baffles me. Yeah, it absolutely baffles me. We're getting into this too much, but it absolutely baffles me when it comes to the society and as a whole. You know, it really blows my mind that people can't put this fucking I hate you because you believe this, or I hate you because you've done this. Now, when you're taking people's rights away, you know, when it comes to this gun shit, you know, you're gonna take a group of people. Not a crazy person or a person who has mental illness. And as men, this is the roughest thing that we've touched on, and we've almost been emotional. I know I have. You said you were about to be. I know where my emotions are, right? I don't give a I wear my shit on my sleeve. I don't give a fuck if somebody sees me cry. I'll punch you in the fucking mouth. I don't care. But here's the thing, man. I just don't believe that you can legally take people's guns from them. Okay, now there's shitty human beings in this world that need to be exterminated in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to say who, what, when, or where, but there's evil in the world. There's things that people want to take advantage of other people. They want to put other people down. They want to do all this other shit. Taking trans people and putting them into a box and saying they cannot have guns is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
But I want to also say, mental illness is something that people should not take lightly. I think that mental illness in men and how we were taught as kids to be these strong things and all this other shit, and you can't show your emotions and you can't have feelings and love and all of the things that women have. That they say. I've met women that are the coldest fucking people on the planet that will tear a human soul out and walk away giggling. You know what I'm saying? I've met those strippers before. I've been with those people before. You know what I'm saying? What blows me away is that we can't literally just say, okay, there's a change in this person. You know? Maybe we need to take care of the people. You know, maybe we need to take care of the homeless, mental ill people on the street. Maybe we need to think about all the drugs that we're shelling out to these children or these people that we don't have a fucking grasp on any of it. You just want to throw these things at people, and the side effects may cause suicidal thoughts.
100%,
Why the fuck am I taking it then?
Yeah.
I'm already there. I don't want to be here with you motherfuckers.
Exactly.
I want to end this because I don't want to be with you. I want something that's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
Well, we have to give you 27 things that could possibly make you happy.
Yeah.
One of them may work a little bit,
Yeah.
but your butthole's going to leak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As ridiculous as that sounds, it is like that. It's fucking so crazy to me, man.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy because, you know, one, they just want to prescribe you stuff. Two, you know, with insurance companies, it's so crazy. We're just sheep that, you know, that they can, you know, send to slaughter, you know, like, because there's been so many things like, you know, like, I'll use my ex, for example. I won't get into that, but, you know, she's just trying to get her mental health taken care of and wanting to, you know, live a normal life. And, like, the hoops that she has to jump through just to, you know, and she does not make that much money. So, like, to get Medicaid and, you know, to be able to go see a therapist, like,
That's 3 months down the road. That's a month or two down the road when you go and you fill out all the fucking paperwork.
Yeah.
And dude, I feel like dying today. I don't want to fucking sit and fill this paperwork out and then you tell me maybe we could.
Yeah, maybe you're qualified, you know. And the thing is, fuck, man, like, the mental health of people is so important. You know what I mean? And not regulating all these different other things.
Dude, it's a trickle down. You know what I'm saying? Like if a woman has a child, you know, they talk about postpartum syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So their chemicals are all off, right? And they do some of the craziest shit ever, man. They kill their family, they kill their kids, they do crazy shit.
Yeah.
They're chemically imbalanced, okay?
Yeah.
Why does it not start there? Right? Start figuring that out to begin with, because let's think about that. If you're a child and your mom is fucked up and your dad is working to try to keep mom in perspective and not go off the rails, dads aren't always equipped for that shit.
Yeah.
Guys aren't always equipped for that. They're not able to make those decisions. They just say, I go to work, I make money, I do this, I pay this, food on table, that type of shit.
Yeah.
It seems stupid, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It starts there because then the household is now fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it affects the children.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fucking God's forbid that there's something that happens later on in your life when you grow into bipolarism or some sort of extra mental illness, you know what I mean? Or epilepsy or any of those things. I've got 2 kids with epilepsy. That is one of the hardest things to see. You can't help them.
Yeah.
You have no diagnosis of it, right? So you gotta throw things at it till they get to a point where they're not having multiple seizures or grand mals or anything like that. Now imagine mental health on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now it starts at mom, it starts at dad, the guy that has to stuff everything down because he can't talk to nobody because people think you're a pussy.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate to use this word, but guys, you fucking fag, that stupid shit they say to each other all the time. That ignorant bullshit that they say to each other, that non-caring bullshit that they say to each other, and it pushes you to not get help.
Yeah.
And then you're this pissed off dude all the time. And then who do you take it out on? You take it out on your wife, who's already got problems now, or you take it out on your kids, and now your kids become defiant and they don't want to talk to you, or they just don't understand that you're going through all this shit, and you're just trying to keep it together to just have this house and have everything. They don't understand none of that shit.
Yeah.
You know, it is a really, really sad state of affairs, and the sad thing about it is it doesn't start from the beginning. It's in the middle, and everybody wants to take things from each other. And yes, I understand that it is horrible that children are being victims to this bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's also horrible that people volunteer to protect this country, right? And they go out and they fight for this bullshit cause, and they kill people for this bullshit cause, and then they come back and they're called murderers, and they're called all this to protect your freedom. And the shit that a lot of people, they protest for shit they don't even fucking know what they're protesting about. What are you protesting about? Well, we don't want our shit taken away. What got taken away from you, motherfucker? Nothing. You still got your job. You're still able to take time off to come here for this cause that you don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It trickles down. It goes into this crazy, this is what my mind thinks, man. It goes into this craziness because We want to take it all away, you know? People get fucking fed up. They get sick of it. They're tired of paying fucking high groceries and high gas and, you know, income taxes and all this fucking, they're tired of it. And then you go to a state like Florida or fucking Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and there's no regulations during COVID at all. And there's fucking hundreds of people getting sick and then bringing it back to their states and getting everybody else sick. 17 people when I went to a music festival because I was so tired of being in the fucking house. I go to a music festival in Sioux Falls and 17 people I knew left that place and got everybody else sick. And I was like, I don't even fucking care. I didn't care. I could give a fuck less. Because it was like, you know what, man, you can't just shove it down on people, dude. We lived through that shit, man. My kids, everybody's affected by this to this day, dude. You know? People are freaking out because they got to go back to work 100%. You know?
I worked the whole time.
I did too. I was on the road. I was on the road driving the whole fucking time. I was visiting job site after job site that would get shut down. They were building these massive buildings, dude. One guy'd get sick on one floor and it just wiped the whole crew out. So they had to come in, you know, and they'd have to fucking plastic off an entire building and spray it up. Remember, they thought spraying it down was going to help? It's horrible, dude. It's horrible. Sorry you went on that tangent, folks.
Okay,
it's just one of those things, man. You get stuck in that mode and, you know, you bring it out and, dude, we get stuff down. It gets stuff down. We can't have these conversations with anybody because you're going to lean one way or the other and somebody's going to find a reason to fuck with you about it. I posted some shit about, I don't care what you think. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to tell you you're not my friend. If we've been friends if we shared the stage one time together, you're my friend and you've felt something that nobody else in the world has felt other than those other people that have been there with me. That's something, you know what I mean? That other people don't understand. They don't get that camaraderie. They don't feel that bond of musicians, man. When you make that connection with somebody and you create something, nobody fucking gets that shit at all.
And it's crazy because like for like back with like the pandemic and stuff in high school, like it was, oh God, it was a fucking terrible time. It was actually mainly post pandemic, like my junior, senior year, fucking attempting suicide, becoming bulimic, shit like that. And it's like really it's music, I feel like, is one of the things that really saved me with that. And really the odd thing about it is like really just like songs, like, you know, like some people would be like, oh, like this song, you know, it's all happy go lucky, you know, it make me feel happy, blah blah blah, but not for me. Club. Oh dear God. No, but for me it was like shit that was like verbatim, like being like, you know, like about like the shit that I'm going through, like looking into a mirror, like with Scissors by Slipknot, a song about, you know, like suicide and addiction, you know, fucking it's hard to stay between the lines of skin just because I have nerves don't mean that I can feel. It wasn't very much fun to be with anyway. Just let the blood run red because I can't feel, you know, like shit like that. And especially, oh my God, especially Gravity or Gravitational Constant by a Typo Negative, you know, like just out from the get-go, fucking I got no more reason to live and I have no more love to give. Tonight's the night. Tonight's the night. I'll paint the town red. I'll put another hole in my head. It's just like you know, like,
you know what, you know, the people that don't write like that or like appreciate those things think that is so morbid and they have no clue about taking something that's so personal and so painful for that person who wrote the song, and they think it's they're glorifying it, or you know what I mean? Like, I go back to like Suicide Solution when I was a kid, you know, wine is fine, but whiskey's quicker, you know, suicide is slow with liquor, you know, and how they painted the picture of him being the reason why people killed themselves and things. And it's like they just don't understand. I've always felt like that with music and heavy music, especially because a lot of people are like, I don't understand what they're saying. I don't, you know, that type of shit. You know, they're older folks, older than me, obviously. But it's like being able to connect with one or two people with a poem or something that you wrote out of the feelings that came from you. I don't know how you feel about lyrics, but with me, I had such a hard time even sharing them with my bandmates.
Yeah.
But the feelings that I would release from them, and they might not understand what I'm saying, but when I would do it and the feelings I would release, they would want to know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's like, we haven't put this song out yet, but we play it live. It's called The Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's that song, and then there's another song, Carry You, which will probably both will come out next year. But one is about someone that I lost to cancer. And I get emotional about that. But and then The Beautiful is, I remember when you had heard it the first time, you were like tears in your eyes, like,
Yeah.
you know, like
It was amazing.
like, yeah, it's a, and then to read the lyrics to him, like, you know, I got super choked up, you know what I mean? Like I had to like, you know, my fucking voice is cracking and I'm trying to like hold back tears just, you know, and saying the lyrics. And, you know, we finish the set every night with that song. And I usually try to talk about something, you know, like prior to the song that has to do with that. So like, you know, with the shooting and stuff like that, like the last 2 shows I've talked about mental health and that, you know, you don't have to feel alone in this world. And, you know, and it kind of touched on, you know, the shooting and how that's really tragic and how like we need to help the people around us basically like lift each other up so that people don't go to that place, that dark place where they feel like they need to take hurt out on other people.
Yeah.
You know, I've done times where you know, we had a cat that passed away in July, and so you know, dedicate the song to the cat. You know, and you know, I don't know if Kevin Ponsavon's listening to this, but like for a show we dedicated it to Gigi, you know, his significant other that passed away, and you know, because the idea of the song, The Beautiful, it just the name of it is like don't forget that no matter what happens to you, like you're still beautiful, you know. But the lyrics are so much darker than that because it's really about like, how can I say it? So like, time stood still, eyes like wide caverns, dread out and hollow, breathe, just breathe. Dreamt up melodies because there's nothing left to say to you. Left you so deep, now there's flowers growing over you. It's really about like the moment that you lose somebody and trying to remember like that moment where everything else in life just stands still. It's that the song is about that moment. And like I know that when people pass and when people go through a lot of struggles, it's like you want to remember the most beautiful part of that person. Not you don't want to remember them suffering at the end, you know. And I mean, that's really what the song's about. So like sometimes like that song, like for me, even just like, you know, a lot of times when we first started playing live, I had a hard time singing the lyrics because I'd get, I don't know, first chorus, I'd start, you know, I have to scream the fucking song, you know, the whole song is like
Just so you're not.
Well, the song is very much like a Bring Me the Horizon kind of like song, you know, the vocals are, but you know, my voice would start cracking or I'd get so emotional that I wouldn't be able to put on a good performance. So it's been interesting, like, you know, wearing your heart on your sleeve like that, but then also like other times lyrics, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, for me, it's always the last thing that gets put on a song. So whenever I write, except for Savior, lyrics are the very last thing that's written. And once the instrumentals are done, I get the opportunity to kind of sit
Let's take it all in.
Take it all in. I know kind of in advance what I want to kind of talk about, but
So I always envied guitar players that sang, you know, because they have the connection to those riffs more than a vocalist. Like I was always able to feel the riffs very well and like place my feelings in those riffs. And looking back at, you know, when Ozzy passed, like just listening to Sabbath and the old things and how he described how he came up with all of his hooks. And he's like, all I would do is ride the music. I would feel that music. And then you go back and you listen to it and you see how he would emulate. It would be this, and he would come along with it just to add to that sound. You know what I'm saying? I did the same thing with a song for my grandfather, right? My grandfather, again, is from White Earth, the Detroit Lakes, Monoman area, right? Huge into his native heritage. And I went down to Missouri and I met this guy who I had an arrowhead that I used to wear on my chest a lot. And he said, "Can I see your arrowhead?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I took it off for him and he looked at it and he goes, I don't want to be that guy, but this is fake. And I was like, it doesn't matter if it's fake. It's just something that symbolizes part of me, who I am, you know? And he goes, "Oh, I got something for you." And he went back into his thing and he brings out this shadow box and he's got authentic arrowheads from the tribes around his area in Marshall, Missouri, right? And he told a story about going to after these rainstorms, he'd go to these farmers' farm houses and shit, and he knew all these spots. So he had multiple shadow boxes with broken bowls and beads and fish hooks and all this shit. So he gave me 5 arrowheads, right? Yeah. And my grandpa, like I said, he was a real bad alcoholic when I was a kid. So it was real quiet, but when he drank, he was violent and real hostile when he was drinking, you know? So you see him beating his kids and his wife and just all that shit, you know? But as I got older, my bond with my grandpa kind of changed and shifted, and I got into martial arts and fighting and a lot of things, and he was a boxer. And I was able to give him an arrowhead, okay? And that was the bond that I was like, when you pass, you're going to need something to hunt with. And I said, I want you to take this with you, and I want you to be buried with it. I don't want you to give it back to me. Yeah. So he started to have problems with his health, and as he would go into the hospital, like they would give him fucking, you know, CAT scans and all this shit. Yeah. And it took 8 doctors to get him to take that necklace off, which meant so much to me. Yeah. Because the night that I gave it to him was the first time and only time that I drank with him as an adult. Yeah. And I got to listen to him talk about fighting the only heavyweight champion to retire undefeated. And his name was I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. Rocky Marciano. So I got to talk to him about him fighting Rocky Marciano and getting his ass kicked by Rocky Marciano, one of the hardest hitting champions ever, you know. Yeah. And I got to hear his last breath. And I got to be with him when he passed. And my wife was right next to him. I was around the corner when he took his last breath. And I went to practice the next day, and I wrote this song, and they were playing this riff, and they just kept playing it over and over and over again. And they were getting so mad at me because I was like, dude, that's the riff. Keep playing it. Yeah. And I sat down, and I just started writing lyrics. I started writing lyrics about him passing. But it wasn't about his death per se. It was about what I perceived him as, like this warrior, as this person that was, you know, he was an incredible human being. You know what I mean? He lived this life, World War II. He was everything to me as a child. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And having my daughter listen to my music and then being pulled to that song, you know, and then sitting down with her and actually explaining what it all meant, and then explaining just recently to my mom about writing that song about her father, and then playing the song for her and singing it to her, and then explaining each verse that I wrote, and just seeing her face, like her well up, and like, wow, like my grandma and grandpa used to ballroom dance. My grandpa was this badass dude, but he loved to ballroom dance. When she was sick with cancer, she had a little bell that she would ring for him to come and take care of her or whatnot. And so when she passed, he kept that bell. And so when he wanted to talk to her, he would ring that bell, and my mom would get really emotional about it. Yeah. But I wrote a specific part about the bell and about him taking her hand and dancing, you know, into this freedom, you know. Yeah. And it was just explaining that to my daughter, and then my mother was one of the coolest things that I ever experienced ever, man, you know. Yeah. And it's that emotional thing, that connection that you have with those lyrics and writing it down, and it's so hard for me to like show people those lyrics and how heartfelt they are, you know. I always worry about whether they understand it or not, and then it doesn't really matter. Yeah. You know, it really doesn't. It was written for you or for others by you, metaphorically, or even a full story. You know what I'm saying? You grabbed it from the air and fucking brought it back down and made it into something, you know, something, you know, of this world, of this plane, you know, and if we pass, the things we create will always be here for the rest of the people that are willing to go look for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears is like, and that's one of the, like, I feel like I need to get as much music out as possible.
You do.
You know, because
You do.
like, you know, the last couple years have been maybe like 5 songs or whatever between the 2 projects, 6 songs. But like, I have like a library of stuff, you know, and you know, I would hate to like maybe this is just me being selfish, but like, I feel like having that out there, if someone can connect with it, you know, that you know, there's gratification enough, you know, and I told my now ex, but we were talking about my death, you know, and I just told her, I said at my funeral, I gave her a list. I was like, I want you to play these songs, you know, and then I want you to play some of my songs. So I guess then people are forced to listen to my music one last time. But
I made you show up at my show, motherfucker.
Yes.
You said you never come.
Yeah. Charge
Too
them.
late, bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$10. Come on.
Yeah, charge them entry. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, whoever's here, you got to donate $10 to the funeral.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's really important because that's a part of you, you know, and you're sharing that with people.
Yeah.
And for me, I can be kind of I don't want to say standoffish.
Yeah.
I'm very quiet. You know what I mean? Unless I have to be like the front man and talk to people. And when I'm a very reserved person, I observe my surroundings a lot. And then there's
You probably understand the switch though. You know, where you know you have to or you don't have to. Like you can say, all right, I'm done with the switch for today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you see all of the bigger bands that are. Alice Cooper is a good example. Ozzy Osbourne, another example.
Yeah.
Where their personas, they're Ozzy on stage, but they're John at home or whatever. You know, Alice Cooper. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he just, you know, they're a different person with their family, and they're. But they get it blurred when, you know, the booze and the drugs and the free shit and the women and the, you know, everything.
Actually, Alice had actually changed, like, legally, like, changed his name, like, when the band became, like, not a band anymore in his solo career. He actually went in and legally changed his name.
Right. But if you look at it, you know, some of the old stuff that he always talked about, that, you know, this is my persona. And they say as he went on, the alcohol kind of forced him into the psychosis of being Alice all the time, and they couldn't break that persona, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely like an interesting thing to like, I don't know. I feel it's an interesting like path to take, you know. I love the creative aspect of stuff, and I love being able to connect with people, but it's also like I could go like live in the woods right now for like 6 months and not talk to anybody and be okay with that too. Like I do like a lot of like me time, you know, and with us like grinding basically so much since January with filming and playing shows and stuff like that, and you know I do a lot of the stuff on my own, and I'm grateful for the Nameless for like he's now starting to take like the social media aspect of stuff.
Yeah.
But like I basically told him like, as soon as we're done doing this podcast, because we leave for Japan in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or I do it with my friend or my brother Jay. So like, I'm basically everybody can kind of kindly fuck off.
Right.
And I'm gonna take this
Recharge.
you know, and I think that's really important
For sure.
The grind is real, man. Like it's a everyday thing. You know, I work 40, 45 hours at a day job, and then I'm doing 30 to 35 hours of music related stuff every week, shows or rehearsals.
Oh, come on, man.
You guys are in bands. That shit's fun, man.
Right,
that
right.
ain't work. What are you talking about?
How many times I fucking heard that shit?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude. You have no clue what you're talking about.
The biggest
your ass.
The biggest insult for me, and I actually get kind of perturbed, is when a person that doesn't know much about music, they call it a hobby as if it's not something serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, it's serious in so many factors. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I'm putting in all this time and effort in. Financially, I'm putting a lot of stuff in. Like, you know, a hobby is something you do, in my opinion, leisurely, you know, or because you really enjoy it. This goes beyond that, you know what I mean? And so, Yeah, so I've met people and they're just like, they do the, oh, you're still doing music thing, or, or that's a really fun hobby. Yeah. There's someone I work with and they keep saying, oh, you're going to go play a show this weekend? Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun hobby you have there. And it drives me fucking nuts.
It's like the difference between that and like building like Gundam model kits.
Yeah. You could put that down where creativity, you're always going to be creative. There's nothing. I just did a podcast about a month ago, and that came up. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Musically. Yeah. And I was like, I would really love to do one more project. Just to do something. I've talked to a couple different guys from my past bands and stuff, and there's a couple of them that just do studio shit. And I'm like, hey, would you guys be interested in writing one more album just for shits and giggles? And they're like, yeah. But for the first time in years, man, I've been writing again. I think at the last count, I had like 21 songs, like partial songs in my phone. Mm-hmm. And then, so many books that I've had through the years. I've got probably 2 in my car now, 3 or 4 at home that have been with me for years. So there's always pieces that you can pull out of things, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't think I'll ever quit. I don't think I'll ever quit thinking musically all the time. Like my wife is like, are you done? And I'm like, no, it's in me all the time. You don't understand. Like, that shit's in me all the time. I can't not hear that shit. Yeah. I was listening to a song earlier today and it was like more jazzy than anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, you could really make that into something completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like taking the structure, which I never ever, again, the reason I asked you guys that question earlier about hearing things and changing is that I noticed with my children, my daughter hears nothing but lyrics. Mm-hmm. She doesn't hear time signatures. She doesn't hear beat changes. She doesn't hear, I have to really point them out. Do you hear the ding, 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 ding in the background? Do you hear the do, 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 do? Do you hear the you know what I mean? Like I'm pointing each one of those out and she's like, whoa,
Yeah.
But I remember as a kid watching my uncle listen to the White Album. Mm-hmm. And with his headphones on, and that's all I could hear is him singing. So I didn't hear any of the music at all. Mm-hmm. So when I'd listen to an album, I'd always remember every lyric of every song, just like my uncle, like my mom, like everybody. Yeah. And it was like a goal for me. But when I started to get into saxophone, I started getting into guitar and drums and bass, all of a sudden my ears started to shift where I was like, how did those connect?
Yeah.
How did that guy go into that thing to make this hook? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, again, that Rubik's Cube, I was going, oh, I got green on this side. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck do I get orange? How the fuck do I get yellow? And then you got like 4 yellow on this side and blue on this. What the fuck, But you're trying to figure it out. And that's why I asked that question, is because it's I always felt like music is something that either you have the ability to hear it and like understand it, or you are completely oblivious. Like I think I've always said this, like I categorize musicians, either musicians that play their instrument that look like, you know what I mean? Them dudes, or the dudes that are going, the instrument's playing you.
Yeah.
Because you're not into it.
Yeah.
You're not even feeling it.
Yeah.
You're just reading the music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, a guy who can read music and transpose it into doing what we do as musicians who feel it, you know what I mean? Like, I can't play shit. I've tried a million times, but it's just never stuck.
Yeah.
The only thing I know is, like, I can go to a guitar player and go, dude, what about, you know what I mean? And and they go, wait.
Yeah.
And you go, stay there, keep playing that. Bass player, ooh, you know what I mean? Drummer, you know what I'm saying? Come in, fucking, or funky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's me. I know that if I'm feeling that and I can project it out to everybody.
Yeah.
I had one dude say, you were one of the first guys I saw locally as a local band, and I loved what you were doing, but I thought you were out of your mind. He's like, dude, you're doing this shit, getting all into it. And he's like, I saw you again. And he goes, I realized you were that into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't I wasn't looking for the coolest rock move. I was in it. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't see anybody beyond the light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Yeah,
It never mattered.
And then with like what you were talking about, how like listening to like a song and like thinking like could have went a completely different way with that and stuff, like, and with all that like imagery and stuff, like it reminded me about how yesterday. So over the past year or so, I've been kind of getting more into rap with like, like Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, Wu-Tang Clan, stuff like that. And in my car, this song Fiend by Travis Scott had came on, and I was like, dude, hang on. And then the fucking last night, I like went on YouTube and like found someone that was able to like isolate the fucking instrumentals, and I was like thinking like, wait a minute, could totally turn this into a fucking killer metal song, dude.
I think people look at that and they think that that's cheating. You know what I'm saying? No, seriously. Like the inspiration. You know what I mean? They say, "Oh, you took that from them," and it's like, wait a second, no, this just inspired a whole nother vibe. Like writing lyrics, I've listened to a song and heard one word, and then looked it up, thesaurused it, and went, I can write a whole song around this one word. You know what I mean? And then it just grows from that one word. I've done it. I've seen it. You know what I mean? And I've explained it to people a million times about Acid Bath. I'm like, Acid Bath is one of them bands you have to take it slow, get in there and really feel it, because there's so much, like you said, there's so many aspects to it. Like there's a typo negative feel to it. There's like one thing that Mike Sanchez said to me that you may be able to relate with is he said, I've always been lonely. He says, I always feel alone, even in a crowded room. He goes, I love things that make me feel sad. He goes, I love songs. He's like, I'm not a band guy. I'm a song guy. If it's a good song and it's written well, I love that song. And he goes, but I've always gravitated to sad things and sad songs, and that's just the way I write.
There's a strange comfort in it.
Fucking sense to me, man. It made sense. It's like we all need that. It's like realizing that you need sadness in your life to realize where the happy parts are. You know what I'm saying? I've tried to explain that to my daughter, who's 18 and has had suicidal thoughts and been there. And I just said, hey, man, I've been there. I know what you're feeling like. I know how you're feeling, but there's ebbs and flows. There's a reason why you feel this way right now. But tomorrow when you wake up and you're rested and you're thinking about other things is a whole nother day. That's the only thing my mom ever told me when I had the gun to my head, when I had it in my mouth, when I did shit like that as a kid that she never knew about until I was an adult. You know what I'm saying? But getting past it every single time, she's like, get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day. You can make more choices tomorrow. Like that's important. Dude, don't ever stop making music. At 21 and you pick up an instrument and you're doing what you're doing right now, all I can say is don't ever quit, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like it called to you. There's a reason. And if you feel like you need to get it out, don't ever stop, bro. Never, ever stop. Because you could be my age and you know what I mean? Like I regret a lot of shit. I've been really close. I've had Slipknot's fucking management try to help me. I've had Mikey Doling from Snot try to help me. I've had multiple record labels. I've talked to Monty Connor on the fucking phone. I've had label people at my house. I've had played label fucking showcases left and right all over the fucking place. And you know what, man? I regret the fuck out of it. I'm glad I didn't get signed because I was a drug addict at the time. I would have just killed myself with all the free drugs and women and all the shit. It's true. But if you find your way to music, man, don't ever quit. That's all I can really say. Is that it's a gift. It's really a gift, and it's been calling you for a long time, and you answered it. You know what I mean? And it's in you, dude. It's not gonna ever leave. You're stuck with the curse, bro. This is how it is.
For some, you could say curse. It's like a savior.
It is. It is. And that's the song we're gonna play, right? That's the last one. Right. I appreciate you guys coming in, man. It's been awesome. It's been really cool. I'm really glad I got to meet you guys, and I wish nothing but the best for you guys. When you drop things, make sure you let me know if you drop next time you got shows, anything like you got anything coming up.
Oh yeah, so a couple things can I plug?
So please do.
Yeah, so we're in the process of finishing up an EP. So we've got 3 songs out. We're gonna do an EP coming up here in the fall. Right now we have so when I'm not doing all the songs, like with Savior, Red Dot Recording out of North Dakota, like I'll record everything and then he'll do the mix, the master. So he's actually at the very moment working on the next song. So we usually do side by side. I'll do a song and do a song. So I'm finishing up the last song for the EP, and then we're gonna drop that EP, and then after that we're gonna do pretty quick succession of songs coming out here in, like, I would say the winter. Drop another EP, and then probably early mid 2026 drop an album.
Nice.
And we're gonna kind of change it up to so if any bands are listening and they want to collab with Ghostmade Cellophane, we've talked about doing basically features. So the singles and EPs have versions of the songs that people would know.
Sure.
And then the album would be features on almost all the songs. That way, to give a different take on the same song and not just regurgitate the same shit to people.
Right.
Do something different. I mean, I loved how Linkin Park did that, right?
Sure. Deftones did that too, right? On that reversion of White Pony, right?
Oh, not just that, but also the original version. They got Scott Weiland and Maynard.
Oh, yeah.
James Keenan
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Surge in another album.
Yep.
Yeah. Another band I think also has done that is like Ice Nine Kills. Like they've collaborated with like Corpse Grinder and like I think some people from Slaughter Prevail.
Right. So you're leaving it open for local musicians if they want to hook up with you and add some stuff to it, or possibly be working it out. How can they get a hold of you?
Just email ghostmadecellophane.com or get a hold of us on Instagram or Facebook. We'll be selective, you know what I mean? Because we want to work with people that are
in the same sort of vein, right?
Not necessarily. Okay. I mentioned this to I always forget her mom's name. We played with Gossamer back a couple months ago, and there's a vocalist. Fiona Hayes is the vocalist for that band. And we played the show, and I went up to her mom because they're all like underage, right? Because I'm not gonna go and talk. You know, you keep that kind of respectful space, right? But I went and talked to her mom's like, we would love to have her on a song. So I know, and she's more, rock and singer songwriter, but she's got a beautiful voice. I know that Jay from Nocturnal Villains and Dark Noon, probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best vocalists. And like, he'll write an album in like a weekend.
Nice.
Like he's just a crazy genius.
Right.
I want him to be on at least 2 of the songs that we're gonna have on the album, and then, but I'm leaving it open. So if people are interested, really vocalists, guitar players, a feature where they come in and do a verse and a bridge or a double up on a chorus, or lay lead guitar over the song, or if you're like a piano player or strings would be really cool. We're not really looking for bass players to be features because we got a great one right here.
Right. I like the spotlight I got.
Right. Yep, I'm sharing my toy. Get out of here.
But so look forward for a lot of that. Like I said, we've been grinding really hard for like especially the last 3 months. So I'm going to take probably a good like 5 weeks away and do 2 weeks leading up to Japan, and then the 3 weeks I'll be there. So, and then when I come back, it'll be going at it full force again. Am I missing anything that's coming up in the future? I feel like I am.
Aren't we looking for another kind of people?
I guess. Oh yeah. If you're a drummer that's based in the Twin Cities and are looking to partake in Ghostmade Cellophane, like definitely hit us up. Haven't had the luckiest batch of circumstances. We're not hard people to work with. We're actually really sweet people. It's just we want to get to the next level. Like, we want to be playing in stadiums. I want to be doing like Rockfest next year. Like that's where I want to be next year, right? Yeah, money. Cash. Yep. And so I want to get to that point and
not hard. Good goal.
Yeah.
Good goal.
Right. And so,
attainable for sure.
Yeah. We've had people who just didn't really fit, or they had personal stuff going on, or my drummer before, had some, health issues that, so it was, it's one of those things where you might look at, I'm just going to say this out loud. You're going to see it on like the Facebook groups where it's like Ghostmade looking for a drummer, and then 3 months later, Ghostmade looking for a drummer.
Yeah.
It's not because we're hard to work with. It's really we're just working hard, and we need someone with commitment that isn't in rehab or isn't dealing with cancer or which good for him for working on that, or isn't going through some mental stuff or even doing stuff that's not the most.
A lot of times, like shit just like pops up or. Shit about that person pops up.
So
or,
it's hard to find that collective too, man.
Yeah.
100%.
So you guys are actively seeking drummers.
Oh, yes,
willing to try some stuff.
Yeah. If you want to come audition, get a hold of the Nameless or myself or any of the page.
Ghostmadecellophane.com.
Ghostmadecellophane at gmail.com.
Yeah, at gmail.com.
Or get a hold of me at namelessmusic04 at gmail.com or on social media
Any
for
social
either
media.
of us, either the Ghostmade Cellophane social media pages or the Nameless social media pages. And we'll
try to set it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think that's pretty much about it. We've got some music videos that we're going to be filming in the near future that we're going to drop end of the year and beginning of next. And I don't know if I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm not gonna,
You'll remember.
It'll be fine.
As soon as we stop. You'll be like, fuck, I remember.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Corey Taylor, if you're listening to this, we'd love to do a song with you.
There you go. Right. Hell yeah. So again, I appreciate you guys coming and doing the show. It's awesome to have another cool band in town, and I hope you guys find a drummer fast. It'd be great for you guys to do that. And there's a few of them out there. You just have to be selective with what you're doing too.
Yep.
Don't get some dipshit to come in and wreck everything for you. You know what I mean? It takes one toxic person to throw it down the tubes. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. But folks, I appreciate you watching the show so much. Don't forget tomorrow, if you didn't hear, I know it's been scrolling down here on the bottom, but White Cross's Minneapolis debut at Skyway Theater, Studio B tomorrow night. I think it starts at like 5:30, 6:30 or some shit like that. I suppose I could probably pull it up if I wanted to, but I did want to give them a shout out because I know it is very important for them to pull people tomorrow. And if you guys don't know who White Crosses is, White Crosses is actually the guys from Black Flood Diesel. They started a new project called White Crosses. And let me tell you what, they just played Rockfest, and they did fantastic. I've been listening. I work with their bass player, and I've been listening to their stuff progress as they've been creating it. And man, let me tell you what, they are really coming up with a different sound for those group of dudes. Al Bourne is really putting some stuff together. Chewy from 13th Step, Greg from Black Flood Diesel, Don Tinsley from Cromlech, Black Flood Diesel. I mean, he's been all over the Twin Cities. But White Crosses, Dead by 50, Beyond Forever, Impossible Prom King, Skyway Theater, 711 Hennepin Avenue, Minneapolis. Tomorrow evening, 7 p.m., bring your ID. It says 18 plus event, $10 in advance, 15 at the door. Please go check those guys out. They definitely deserve it. And I know that if they don't get a good crowd, things are going to change at the Skyway. So please go support your local music scene. Support Ghostmade Cellophane. And we're going to listen to the last tune here, Savior. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week with my homeboy, Sober Nate. Sober Nate's going to be back in the house. So please join us next Friday. Peace out, y'all.
These Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual